everything's all right. Ah!
That's what you thinking? I know. Oh, poor baby. Like you haven't had like 10 already today. Oh, such a rough life.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bad Design. Why would you call your salon Good Head? This is a misleading sign. This isn't the worst name for a reheated product. It's not the best. But this one, we can do better, guys. Also, I have a lot of questions for Uncle Dave. Yeah, I know where it goes. I've been catching flack for viewing things with an American eye. I know that not every language is catered to me, but come on. And finally, I've heard of Knob Creek. Like, sure, haha, a little funny. It's the small batch that gets me. I was once so normal.
Ooh, I'm so excited. About to pick up my first lot lizard in the semi. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Hey, Pretty Mama. What's $20 gonna get me?
These 5 teenagers were accused of throwing stones and sentenced to life imprisonment. This is a stone weighing 6 pounds, 5 inches wide, and 8 inches long. It fell off the overpass and hit the windshield of the car. Kenneth White, 32 years old, is the father of 4 children. The face and chest were hit, and the person died on the spot. The 4 teenagers who appeared in court today are aged between 15 and 17. Their defense lawyer tried to persuade the judge to put them on trial for juvenile delinquency, but the judge clearly disagreed.
The proposal for juvenile sentencing is rejected.
The applause came from the families of the victims. Now, these teenagers are facing life imprisonment.
Here's the full video of the mysterious baggie with powder and the strange spoon with these global leaders.
My bathroom, huh? Yeah. Literally. Yeah. We came through Germany. Yeah. And then we made it to France. Bedroom and then we got through the border. Yeah. Super. Yeah. On va bien.
My friend Bob and I would like to wish everyone Happy Memorial Day. I love Bob's big boy. All right, here we go. Anyway, about this Idaho thing, did any of us realize that at this point in time, it wouldn't be as much about the victims, but did some cute blonde chick run up and down the stairs 50 times? And how many times? That really does bother me about this. But think of my colleagues here on YouTube. You know, I call them the Idaho 4 Detective Agency. They got nothing until August, so they're gonna have to shuffle papers and scramble and make use of that hour. But here's what I really want to talk about, which is the Linda Lane audio. I think the Linda Lane audio may be the key piece in all of this, because not only do we have fantastic amateurs going through this audio, but the feds are obviously doing voice recognition. I mean, somebody said, "I see you, Farley," or at least that's what it sounds like. So that's what it is. When the feds come out with, or Ann Taylor comes out with the voice recognition, there we go.
Is that a knife? Oh no, it's just a butter knife. I thought it was an actual knife for a second. So the police department is actually showing up right now.
How does this actually work? So what do? You just throw
so we have ropes and we already have our magnets on. Like, you want to try it?
Sure. It's really heavy, and each time I try to get it out, it comes off. Is just a cannon?
It looks like a cannon coming out of the water.
What's the coolest thing you ever came across?
A Civil War cannonball.
Do you think that's a possible murder weapon?
Can you pass me the up dog?
Who?
Not who.
Us.
Cheers. You're okay. You're very cute, but can you pass me the up dog? Up dog? Can you pass me it?
Do you want me to put my hand in your eye?
Information in the Idaho case, the Dylan and Bethany defenders changed what they assume or think happened. First, everybody said, oh, well, they were both on the bottom level. They probably didn't hear anything. Obviously, you've never lived in a college house before. They can't use the college party house thing as an excuse because she was obviously scared from the text thing. Do you know how loud party college houses are? And then once we found out that she was actually upstairs, they said, oh, well, she was probably too drunk. She passed out. She didn't hear anything. Stop using the excuse that everybody was too drunk. Stop. Dylan ain't working with a full deck because then that throws Dylan's credibility right out the window. Then it came out that she saw him. She said she was frozen in shock and gave a perfect description. So she couldn't have been too drunk. Stop using the excuse that everybody was too drunk. There used to be masked men that you would see in the middle of the night wearing all black all the time. You're telling me that you saw a man in a mask? And then they're like, well, why didn't she call the cops? And everyone's like, well, she was too traumatized because she called everybody. And then she calls everybody and the brother and sister. Her body was having a trauma response. She couldn't respond. And you can't use the excuse that she was traumatized because she called everybody.
Cars embedded in the building again.
For the second time in 4 months, a car launching off this street in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, crashing through the roof of a veterans hall. Surveillance video shows the car driving off the cliff, then flipping onto that roof. Debris flying over the building, the impact so violent, the engine was thrown out of the car.
If that engine comes out, I couldn't imagine how a human wouldn't come out of the car if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Incredibly, the driver was able to walk to an ambulance. Authorities say the curve of the road makes it hard to see that cliff on the other side. Back in February, a suspect fleeing police crash-landed onto the same roof, injuring 2 teenagers and leading to criminal charges.
Darling, what's your name? Rachel. Oh, goodness. Rachel, darling, your jacket is very furry, your little suit. Yeah, you should. How many Muppets had to die so you could have that shirt? There's so many. That's a very specific number. That's just how many she fantasizes about murdering. Rachel, darling, what do you do?
Technology.
You're in technology. Okay, so you just don't want me to know what you do. You don't know what you do. What you do? Technology. Okay, great. Is it just vibrators? Why are you so embarrassed? You're so good at vibrators. Great. Rachel's a weirdo. What kind of technology? Are you not allowed to say? Is it drones?
We're watching.
You're watching everything and murdering Muppets. I think Rachel might be a psychopath.
Like that for a long time. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men.
And throughout this interview, he offered horrifying examples of what that looked like. He said one practice called an egg test went as follows. And just for warning, this is insane. But he says, quote, those guys pull their pants down and bent over. They stick the egg up their eggs break. They say they're not ready yet. They ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood.
Yeah, you try.
You want to try and
Yeah,
make
Coco
the sound
knows
go
how
out?
to
She
do
noticed the sound came
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
Now she's going to see if she can do it.
You got it, Coco.
Can
You
do
got
it?
it amplified now.
That's
Yeah.
good,
Can
Coco.
you do it?
Coco.
There you go.
Yeah, good, Coco.
All these matters should be made public, in my humble opinion. I've never seen anything like this in any courtroom that I've appeared in.
You want the truth? It's right here, my friend. Justice ain't fear, it's how we win in the end.
We made it. Barely.
Barely.
But we made it.
Great job. We made it.
Yo, KB, is that the name you claim? Rolling through genres, let me play this game. Rap like a madman, Eminem with the slang, spitting bars so sharp like a rap hangman. From YouTube fame to Idaho's wild ride, you're breaking it down, putting truths aside. KB got the purge, no doubt he's the king. Breaking down the case like a YouTube machine. KB the purge, bringing heat in the booth. Facts on the table, there's no room for proof. Throwing down lyrics while the world's watching. Is it guilty or free? That's the question we're knocking. KB the purge, taking Idaho by storm. He's got the heat and the truth breaking the norm. We're all glued to this case, no one's letting go. Will Brian be guilty or will he be let go? Kane B's in the game, watch him lay it all bare. Will justice find the truth or just disappear in the air? Here's my bubblegum pop, you ready or not? Kane B's in the mix with the case so hot. Rap, rock, pop, he's switching it up. Dancing through the genres like a YouTube cup. Got Kane B, the purge, putting the story in flow. Breaking it down with humor, watch the case blow. Boom, Kane B's riding with electric groove. Breaking it down, yeah, he's on the move. He's got the purge, so come and watch him reign. Sipping on knowledge like it's truth on a train. KB the purge, taking Idaho by storm. He's got the heat and the truth breaking the norm. We're all glued to this case, no one's let go. Will Brian be guilty or will he be let go? KB's in the game, watch him lay it all bare. Will justice find the truth or just disappear in the air?
I'm on a mission to be the first woman to skateboard across America.
It's day 25 of skating across America. I've officially done 600 miles.
It's clear, man. Keep going.
I'm bringing the sound, but this case goes KB with the truth is hard to ignore, like waiting for that next chapter in the lore. KB with the truth is hard to ignore, like waiting for that next chapter in the lore.
Good morning, Vietnam. Welcome to Bizarro World, everybody. How you doing? I hope you're having a wonderful Thursday. It's Baby Friday, baby. And we're going to get it on today on the Purge here. Hope you enjoyed the reel. Brought to you by Pinktree and the M contest. So it's good. We got a little Tony emergency here at the beginning. He's here. He's walking the stairs. He's chilling. Trying to keep his spot above Ozzy Smith. Speaking of spots, I have no idea what this... So we all know that Google started the social rating system, right? Here's my rant for the day. And now here they slipped in this little community experience points. So let's see. Heather's way ahead with 125 experience points. I don't know if that's per channel or if it goes throughout the whole platform there, but what an odd thing to put in my chat. So yeah, in China they have the SoCal ranking system, the social ranking system, and that's you can be considered a bad person if you jaywalk or if you you know what, don't make me play the reel again. Just don't make me do it. Alright, where are we? I gotta close this window. And what else we got? I wanted to look at, we'll do it later, but I wanted to look at a couple of those. Well, I can't help pat myself on the back now, can I? That's right, Kane. We always say it, Kane. Hi there, Kane. That's my dinky impression in case you didn't go. Oh man, it's loud in here, all these fans going. You think I had the oven going. So you have to give me a little bit of leeway here. And I know you guys have questions. I do too. Noel, what specific questions do you have? I might wait till JJ gets here to answer it. It depends. Let's see here. So happy to see everybody on this Thursday evening. If you're new to the Purge, please hit that subscribe button and click on that like. It's right there. I don't know. Is it over here? It's over there? I don't know. It's close. Just strike it. Kane. Thank you. What am I even doing? I don't even know what day it is. Here we go. Okay. There goes that. And let's look at... It's the only way I can get... She had conflicting mod duties. I don't even know what that means. She doesn't do anything. What, did you have to choose somebody out or show them out in the chat? Yeah, so the mod, this little social ranking system. Hi, Leia 23 or Leash. I always thought it was Leia. Leia SH. I don't know. Buddy Murphy. Diane Draper in the house. So I ever tell you my Bobby Draper story? I'm not gonna tell that story. Beat. Barbie's not in the Jeep. Let's look back at who's in here. The guitar behind me is a Sam Ash brand, whatever it is. The Flying V thing is a Jackson, though. Twiz is watching. JJ's here. Forgot. Sorry, guys. This fan is so loud I can't even think, but I'm literally still sweating. HOJ is okay. Listen, you don't have to believe him and his facts. You can still go on believing. Don't stop believing. Why would he write that book? Ask yourself this. Chara. Check back when I get going. Okay, yeah, alright. We're not going now or anything. Let's see if this is a new girl. I think I found this under Euphoric, though. But she was pretty funny, right? And then if you saw the reel, if you weren't late, I saw you coming in late. And then, this is the other thing for me and Trish from Echoes of Clarity here. They opened, and so it must be May 21st. I think it opened May 21st. I told you, Trish, that they were open. It's funny that everything in this place is based around portals. I'm just saying. It strikes me as odd. Let's see what else there is. Oh, I have to pat my own back. This lady just keeps trolling me with the stuff. And then the egg test. The P. Diddy egg test. Whatever. She's coming back. She's never coming back. We know. Fine, tar. We'll get going. Let's do an intellectual discussion on that ass. Some great tornado stuff lately. Here's the house. Okay, so the house came out pretty good in AI, I would pat myself on the back and say. But this is the one I wanted to talk about. So this is my original rendering picture with you see BK in the front there as a general. I don't know why he's a general. I haven't used that one in a little while. Minimax. I'm going to have to try that one again. See BK. But I don't know why. These look like jets. And I put in World War II. But look, the house held up. The launcher got a little dented. But pretty good. And yeah, I don't know what we can do to bring it. Maybe I'll stand on my head. And Taro will come when we're going. I guess it just goes to show you everybody wants JJ. That it was one busy man. I can't even promise he's going to show up. Allegedly, if you remember her from Criminal Confidential, Jenn will be here at some point today. Both her and Heather like a nice, beefy, feel-good, extended introduction. We know this. And then, I was trying to get Kaylee to talk in this one, but that's the way it turned out. Yeah, the fan's loud. It's Florida. I'm not making. You can still hear me just fine. And then this one, I wanted him to do Ultraman stuff, but I didn't. Hi, Stormy J. Welcome in. And then it went to this stupid. What is this? This like angry Chinese soccer player girl. Here, wait till the other thing won't go down. That's what she said. Okay, what is there? One more? This lady going across the United States. But this was okay. It's not graphic or anything for the purposes of the tubes of you. But Heather did notice the flying panda. I was like, why is there a flying panda? Here he goes. Launch. Cold or covered. Welcome 1984. Nice to see you guys. Now we do a quick review of all my you know what time it is, babies. It's time for Muse. Alright, what do we got first today? I sent this one to Heather Fitzgerald, or Lucy Morningstar, her evilness of herself. And she is a tough master, let me tell you. I'm not here to read the article to you or anything. I just want to read it to you. The headline. Brian Koberger, hit with accusation from unaliving expert, his fixation on professor drove him to do it. As like Heather, they've run out. They've literally run out of narratives on this one, finally. They have nothing anymore, so they just put together this word salad pish-posh of jambalaya. So I thought this was interesting. More than 40 years after a 24-year-old male was killed in rural Idaho, a suspect has now been arrested in connection to his murder through DNA research, according to the Lynn County Sheriff. Michael Shepard, 64, was arrested on Wednesday for the 1983 of Ronald Lee Novak, who was brutally hugged on December 23, 1983, in rural Walker, Iowa. At the time of the incident, a friend of Novak found himself waking up dead in a room at his home, and what appeared to be an apparent robbery. Novak had been beaten, shot in the chest, and was found with his hands bound. Now, if this has been in Idaho, it would have been a self-unaliving. Over the course of the last 10 to 12 years, investigators have tested DNA on Novak's clothing and a hammer, believed to have been used in the attack. Did you hear that crack? That's the first time it's ever done on air. That's my Amazon entry. Hi, Carla. If you heard it? 'Cause it just, and I went to the guy and for a month it Yeah. So they were checking out his DNA. Officials said genetic genealogy, the process of taking unknown DNA and identifying it by comparing it to family members who voluntarily submitted their DNA before we knew how stupid it was, assisted in Shapper's. I mean, you're not going to get me to put my name. My cousin did it, and that's how we found my daughter, which is a great thing. I'm putting it in there, and Idaho's going to frame me for something I did in 1983, allegedly. Don't do it. By naming this... Okay. The investigation revealed that Shepard, who now lives in Fairview, Oregon, and others likely went to Novak's home with the intent to rob him of money and some weed. Officials said the investigation still remains open, as officials say they believe at least one more suspect was involved in Novak's murder. Well, at least they're looking. By naming a suspect, it may cause other people to now come forward that weren't willing to do so previously. Or maybe this has jogged their memory some 41 years later. Patty Wilson, Novak's sister, told reporters on Wednesday that the investigation has been a long ride for the family, and she didn't know if I would ever see this day come. So blessings to her. You know, they had some nice clear-cut DNA. 41 years ago, 80s, yeah, 70s, 80s. What year was it? Whoa. That sounded like a serious one. Might be Uber. Alright. She'll be here soon, Jenn. That'll be nice to see. I'm not going to play the whistle. So that's interesting. Iowa. Rick Derringer passed, singer of rock and roll Hoochie Coo. He was 77 years old. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace. True rocker. Rock and roll Hoochie Coo. Rock and roll Hoochie Coo. 12-year-old girl hospitalized after 35-year-old woman hugged her multiple times with a knife, then dumped the teen under a brush in a protected area, thinking she was unalived. Florida, in a harrowing incident, a 35-year-old woman identified as G. Gerard has been arrested after the hugging of a 12-year-old girl multiple times and dumping her under brush in a protected area, thinking the girl was gone. Authorities said the child miraculously survived and is currently in stable condition after undergoing emergency treatment. She's been charged, face and neck, trauma, the girl's okay, brutality, here you go. Brutality of the attacks shocked even the most seasoned law enforcement officers. Brummel expressed disbelief at the cruelty of the act in a public statement. In my 33-year career, there are only a handful of times that I've been left speechless. This is one of those times. To attack a child with a knife, I can't understand it. It is only by God's grace that she's still with us today, and I pray for her as she heals from this horrific incident. Unfortunately, the mental trauma inflicted on her may never heal. We're in Florida. They never say. This was under Largo News. So Dayton, Ohio, probably Cleveland. I hadn't heard about this. Had you heard about this? I didn't realize my big head was blocking everything the whole time. I don't gotta say anything. You can't even see the chat. It's just flying by. Okay, so Idaho victims of Final Destination style gas explosion healing. And I don't remember hearing about this. And it's funny because they just released the new Final Destination, whatever, Heather Fights the Overlords. And the victims of a 2024 gas station explosion, it might have been just a tragic... Oh, Jiminy Joseph. I got you there, buddy. How you doing? I thought it was a takeover there for a second. Hold on. Can you hear me? You might have to go out and come back in.
Is this the Purge?
There you are. Can you hear me?
Purging?
We are.
Boy.
Hello. Hello. Great. Now you're really setting a precedent for Jen.
Nope.
Not to come in. Yes, the... We'll see if Operation JJ can work his way in here. I'm excited to have him today. We still have Muse. Meep. Let me describe this to you a little better. 2 people were gone, and 2 were badly injured after a fuel tanker exploded at a gas station in Cardiff, Idaho on September 11th of last year. I'm a little loud there. Located 80 miles east of Moscow. It's still recovering. And we see you. Do you hear us? It's probably on my side, JJ, you know? I'm sorry. Maybe... Hold on. Oh, I see where messages are. Alright. Try it again. Excuse me. Alright, so where were we? Let's try it again. And... Try it again, JJ. I'm sorry about that. I had to make an exact... I meant to restart my computer.
New tonight, 2 people are injured after...
So we'll just watch, yeah. Wow. Was that you? Are we purging? Let me see here. Maybe it's my settings. Allow for mail inside flannel. Ooh, it looks like we're getting that storm finally here. Oh, yeah. It's been windy all day. And so, JJ, try one more time for me, but I gave him the link. He's got the link, apparently. So that was the gas... It was a tragic gasoline fighting incident. 80 miles east of Moscow. Carla, you didn't get a social ranking score. I'm surprised. That's a shame. I'm sorry to hear that. Okay, let's keep going. University of Idaho creating waves in electrohydraulic research. And this is from KTVB. They are at the forefront. I'll get to that.
Are we purging?
Oh! There he is. Let's see now. How about that? Can you hear me now? You should be able to hear me now. There you go. Florida's gonna have an alligator tornado. That would be that's a better movie, alligator tornado, than I wonder what's going on with JJ. JJ, how you been, my friend? I can only hear you.
Yeah, I can only hear you.
Try it again, because I had turned it off and turned it back on again, and right when I turned it on, you dipped out. Let's see. I had you backwards. I don't know why. Yeah, we heard you and everything, so you should be checked when you come back. Where was it? What was it? Oh, so yeah, they have the you have the Hadron Collider, And you have this hydro, and so this
I
is
can only hear
where
you
the
through
science.
YouTube, sir.
And I'm
is
telling
this the
you,
Purge?
University of Idaho right now has a really scientific reputation. One now. These jokes don't write themselves, folks. You know. Today's show brought to you by Friends Cereal. It is, I'm telling you, this is what you want to wake up to in your cup or in your bowl. You want to put a little almond vanilla sweetened milk in there too fast. And look, it has like Rachel's frame thing, and it's a vanilla bean latte as you would expect. And it literally, when you taste it, you feel like Gunther just brought it to you in a cup. I like it. It's weedy. But it's brought to you by me. Okay, and next thing. Here's the next one. I don't know, there's music, and I could probably put some music over too, but I'm not. Anyway, so, this guy goes and he's, sampling the breakfast food here, a bagel, or no, it's a chocolate, double chocolate croissant coffee at University of Idaho. And here, I don't know why they needed this. He's sampling Chick-fil-A. Why do you need to make a video of a college kid eating Chick-fil-A? I'm just saying, these videos are weird, bro. They're weird. They are bending over backwards to keep the I don't know, though. It's like they put, like, here, give him $50 to do the video. Give Johnny 50. This is exciting. Supersonic jet will take passengers from New York to London in less than 60 minutes, my friends. So New York to London in an hour. Supersonic travel is moving closer to reality. Talk about being able to make a getaway. I don't know what countries in Europe don't have extradition. Why does my brain go? It's called Venus Aerospace. Surprise.
That's old shit.
Completed
have that on
the world's first atmospheric test of a rotating detonation rocket. And if you were afraid to travel before, strap in, kids. It is literally 55 minutes. It could happen. Test took place on Wednesday, May 14th at Spaceport America in New Mexico, where a small rocket equipped with the new engine lifted off at 7:37 local time. So that's the... Sorry. Didn't they try this once with the Concorde? I don't know, man. An hour? You're gonna be literally strapped to rockets. I don't know. We'll see if that ever goes in. Where's JJ? Did we lose JJ?
Yeah,
there
that's
he is.
old shit. That's
I see you.
There you go.
I see you talking. Somebody knocking on my door. Somebody there? Tony, check it out. What's that, Tony? Okay. I see you. I saw you talking. I see Orenthal J. Simpson. Yet no JJ here. And your thing is coming through on the thing, but I don't hear you in my headphone. This is bizarre. This has to be a me thing. I'm just ready for you. Perfect timing, by the way. If we could get this all to work today. Let's find out. Get rid of this thing here, and then maybe over here.
I can't hear you unless I'm on YouTube, though,
I don't
sir.
know, JJ. You just came out and came back in. Let me see if it's me.
I concur.
Hold on. Wait. We're downloading. What am I downloading? Why am I downloading something? I'm downloading it. Alright, let's try this position here. I'm sorry, he's been struggling back there for longer than I thought. I apologize. There he is. Let's say it. Enable my microphone. Alright. Alright.
Hey, there you are.
Allow. Hold on. It's going to ask me all the permissions here.
Now I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Can we see him yet?
Mic check. Mic check.
It's Heather's fault. She's really sus when it comes to this shit. Okay, let's see if we can. JJ, try one more time, but I'm sorry, I don't know what's going on. I mean, you should be able to hear me. I just can't see you. Hey, Kimmers, what's up? How you doing? Nice to see you. Are you there? Maybe come back one more time. I don't know. Oh, that's the show for tonight. Thanks, everybody. I appreciate you being here. He's been there 48 seconds. Miss Potts is laughing. She also enjoys watching me fail. Alright, he's gone back out. He's coming back in. Let's see. Do I have all the things? That's weird. It doesn't give me... I have to do all this. Okay, let's see. Dun 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 dun. Using you old linking me, JJ? Did you use an old link? Maybe that's what it was. I don't know. Caroline, was he echoing? Oh man, Caroline. Well, it's no fun reading the food news without JJ. I see you. Damn.
Is this the Purge?
Okay, this has to be me. It's a me thing. I apologize. Let me remove this here. Stay right where you are. Don't go anywhere. We finally had him on the thing, on camera, and I ruined it. Typical me. Typical me. Typical me. I started something. If you were British right now, you'd be creaming your jeans. Okay, let's see. Control audio. Yep. I'm sure it was a me thing, JJ. Let's see here. If I hit OK. Jiminy Joseph. And, oh, you know what it probably is? I don't know. I have no idea. Alright, where the show's going to go down for a minute. This is where we lose a lot of viewers, JJ. I'm going to shut down the computer. And the show will pause for a moment. Don't go anywhere. Don't worry. Hit that subscribe button, that like button while
Are you cloning me?
Oh, there's JJ. Okay. I was just about
to
an
attempt to clone me?
Rage quit him. Nice, are you playing the foosball? You playing the foosball on me, boy?
Can you hear me?
Foosball. I can't. No, I can't. Can you guys hear him? I can't. Give me a 1700 if you can hear JJ in the chat, please. There. What is exactly going on? Let me see the settings. Kane B with the urge. Or what do they call it? They call it the perv. Kane B the perv. Okay. Disable video. Leave that. Okay, now that. Oh, it's supposed to be an audio thing. Isn't it right? Let's see here. Audio output. Show me more options. Yep. Select effect. That probably wouldn't be good. Audio. Interesting. Okay. Video, audio. You can turn echo on. Yeah, I don't know, JJ. Oh, wait. Allow. Okay.
Is this the Purge?
Is that doing? I can't hear him. Can you guys hear him? Give me a thumbs up or something if you can hear JJ, because I see. Too fast. You're so pretty. She's just a devil woman. JJ, we're gonna fix this. I'm gonna make this right. Make it right. We lost Noelle like an hour ago. She had all these questions. And here you are, and now she's gone. Thank you, Too Fast. You are pretty. You can hear. Well, then why the heck? Hold on. It's got to be a me thing. I know what it is. Watch this. I'll bet you $10. Wait, hold on.
I'm out of here, Kane. I think you're cloning me. I think this is all a plot
yell.
to clone me.
Hold on. He's yelling now. It's me. Hold on. Wait. Say something, JJ, please.
Are you cloning me, Kane?
Holy shit, it was me the whole fucking time, bro.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, sir. I'm not surprised.
What is that? Is that going to go into the dump pot?
I don't think your audience is surprised. The fellow Purgers. I think you're attuned. They tune in for food news.
Yay!
They tune in for technical difficulties. And they tune in for some Orenthal James Simpson.
Listen, we got a good slice of that Orenthal J. Simpson pie last night, and I was pretty pleased. I was happy with it. And you know, you outdid me on viewers. I was watching the whole time. I was watching the numbers, and I could see 89, 90, 91. And the last live I had the most I had was 80 folks up in this bitch.
Nice. I like it. Yeah, I think I had I think I averaged around 240 or so for across my streams, but I only did 3 streams, and starting tomorrow I'm doing 6 streams.
That's interesting.
I'm ramping it up on Operation GCD.
That's amazing because you're already a busy guy. Did you see the
same shows? I'm just doing it on. I started a Facebook and a Twitch and all that nonsense.
Have you seen the social credit score over here in the chat thing today?
I was wondering about that. I've assigned my own social credit scores to folks, but what is it? What is this about?
Do you keep track of that? Like you have a little notepad? That's it. All right. I can see you.
I don't take many notes, sir. I just log it in the old brain hole.
Yeah, one of those kind of. Is my air conditioning loud today?
You're good to go, sir. You're good to go.
I got a complaint on it in the comments from somebody. Todd Miller, welcome in. Kelly, hello.
So did you enjoy the Orenthal J. Simpson did not do it show? Then you caught some of that.
I did.
Nice.
I'm pretty well. I caught. I was working up till, and thank God I got caught up on the Billsies today. Or last night. That was the kicker. I've been doing my best to not spend more than $10 every 4 or 5 days, which has worked out. The problem is I've had to buy water and stuff at the expensive store where it's $1.25, which is good water. But if you can get it for 35 cents at the filling station, why pay the extra?
I hear you, man. I hear you. Sometimes we got to cut back, in these tough times.
Largo, fucking struggle's real.
I got a $14 a day red rope licorice habit. I'm trying to quit, so I understand your pain.
Are you a Wallabies or a Red Vines or a Twizzlers kind of guy?
Ooh. Now you're talking my language. I'm going to go with all of those, friends.
Well, I think once you've had Wally or whatever it is, you can't go back.
But but here's the deal. I like the OG red rope licorice. From the Red Vines people, but they make it in the actual rope format.
Really, with the OJ thing still He's just standing there looking at me. Tony's like, this made it to the diabetes contest today. I just wanted to let you know.
I appreciate that. I'm actually trying to cut back myself.
Well, did you know that Reese's had this flavor of cupcake? And I'm not going to eat them off the ground this time. These are peanut butter flavored cupcakes, as you could imagine. And you can get the whole...
First of all, I find it hilarious that you asked me if I'm aware of a Reese's peanut butter flavored snack cake that I would be unfamiliar with. I like your style, Kane. but I'm absolutely familiar with that.
Oh,
I've filled my mouth hole with plenty of those. Again, I'm trying to cut back.
Oh,
but,
they have nerds.
That is
There's no payday today. Let me see your
no
desk.
paydays, Nate.
There's no payday.
Paydays, Nate.
I
just got brought to you by the fine folks at Diet Mountain Dew.
Abner must have gotten a hold of them.
Well, I gotta go to Walmart later still, so he hasn't quite gotten his fill up today.
That's sad. Well, I hope I don't keep you too late. The plan is. So yeah, no, great show last night for JJ and the Hornley brothers, right? Isn't that the name of the show?
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. And I wanted to make some correlations between my discussion last night and the Idaho 4 case. But first off, Cosmic Peach, my guest last night, Julia, she and I were discussing the next Operation GCD Occult and Esoteric film review next month, the last Wednesday. I believe that's the 25th of June. It's going to be the So I Married an Axe Murderer, and I hope you join us there, Kane, for that one.
I wouldn't miss it. Is it on a Friday?
It's on a Wednesday.
I'm there.
On an 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Times.
I like that. Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Operation GCD Live.
I'm going to have to do a little back research on it again.
It's one of my favorite films, to be quite honest with you. It's one of the first films I introduced my son to of an adult kind of, PG-13 status, if you will.
I have 5 to 10 films that, I'll watch no matter when they're on, how many times I've seen them. Godfather 1 or 2, usually 2. Caddyshack, So I Married an Axe Murderer, The Burbs, and King of New York. That's my top 5.
I love Caddyshack, and you're talking Cocaine Bob films right there, friend. With
Yayo Bob?
Godfather 1 and Godfather 2.
I'm sorry.
My apologies.
The censors
Yayo.
What was that? Yeah, Yayo.
You're talking Yayo Bob films right there, friend. That's his productions.
Is it really? Because I thought Brian Doyle Murray wrote it, and all the guys were caddies.
No, that's Caddyshack. I'm talking Godfather 1 and Godfather 2. Or
anything. Yeah, of course. We have Coppola, Scorsese, all these guys, De Niro. We know they're connected, right?
The producer, and he was the head of Paramount Films that greenlit the film and made the film. So he was doing it all.
Listen, I don't mean to cut you off, did you?
Listen. What do you got?
Go ahead and finish your esoteric introduction to the correlation between Orenthal J and the Idaho 4. I did interrupt, and I'm going to eat a cupcake while you do.
Well, there's a lot of correlations and direct connections with folks like felon Nazi Mark Furman, who provides commentary on the case here in Idaho 4. But when I was looking at it and discussing stuff last night, because my show last night kind of was erupted from a conversation I had on the Occult Rejects in the days previous, maybe Saturday, I think, where Julia made a comment in response to something I had said in a, sarcastic manner about Orenthal James Simpson, the Hertz rental car guy. She had said we basically that she was convinced that he did it. And I was like, all right, well, let's unpack that case. And we did. And that's what we were doing last night. But that's where that came from. And in doing that, I kind of realized some other aspects and comparisons to the Idaho case that I may have previously missed. So the lead detective in that case, Philip Van Adder. So on and above the gross violations of Orenthal J. Simpson's alleged inalienable constitutional rights, the LAPD sergeants led by Furman, followed by Van Adder and Lang, all hopped the gate and fences. Well, Furman hopped the gate and fence. He let the rest of them in by opening the gate, but that was 15 minutes later. So he's back there allegedly planting evidence for 15 minutes and lets them in, and they just literally searched the dude's entire property. The Rockingham estate. He's in Chicago on a planned trip for the Hertz rental car company as their spokesperson.
Come on the screen if you don't mind.
Golf outing. Who's this?
If you don't mind, join us in the live.
I'm right here.
We want to see that pretty face.
Oh, I'm almost done smoking.
Oh, fair enough. Okay, come on with your. Sorry.
So they're all over his property with no search warrants. This This is 2 hours after the lead detective showed up to the murder scene, 4 hours after Furman did. Turns out Furman's got a personal relationship with Nicole Brown Simpson, amongst many, many other problems with these matters. But nonetheless, they violate the shit out of Orenthal J. Simpson's rights. They violate the shit out of Brian Kohberger's rights. And when Philip Van Adder wrote his probable cause statement for arrest of affidavit on June 17th, so this is 4 days after the murders occurred June 12th at approximately 10:32 to 10:42 p.m. according to the prosecution. I would argue slightly maybe earlier than that, a few minutes. And when I say OJ didn't do it, OJ knew what happened. I actually think OJ might have been there. He might have been over at the Bundy home between the hours of 10:03 and 10:21. And at 10:21, when something popped off, OJ said, "I'm out of here." You know what I mean? And then that situation that popped off, I think, is what boiled over into the 10:32 homicides of Nicole Brown Simpson and Ron Goldman. That's my theory, is looking at all the evidence, that there is a chance that OJ was there, that OJ did go back over to his home, but the incident where they allege he's sneaking back onto his property at 10:42 does not work with the state's timeline even. And that was the state's witness, Cato Kalin, that provided that detail. And then that kind of got altered in the case during the trial. And actually, Cato Kalin became kind of a malignant witness to the state's prosecution. In fact, Marcia Clark, the Scientologist, treated him like a hostile witness at one point there during the trial. So, that 10:42 marker where he's on the phone and hangs up the phone, so they know what time it was. It's a pretty well-defined time of when that occurred, where he heard the bump on the wall and he's talking to his friend and hangs up the phone. That's logged on the phone's call log. So, that would make sense if OJ was over there when shit popped off and then went back home. Because then the limo driver sees him a few minutes later in front of his home. The limo drivers take him to the pre-planned event at the airport. And I say that because in the probable cause affidavit, after Philip Van Adder, Furman and gang, the LAPD detectives violated Orenthal J. Simpson's rights by walking all over his property, setting up shop in his kitchen as their command center and starting to make phone calls. That's literally what happened that morning on June 13th. They call him in Chicago. He flies back, and then they issue an arresting affidavit on June 17th, 4 days later, right? So that arresting affidavit not only proved to be completely a fictitious tale over time, as the state's timeline of events and actions of OJ, they were molded to shape the case over time. To whereas, like we see here in the case against Kohberger, we look at that PCA statement from Brett Payne that's, again, not notarized. I think that's important. And we only see Exhibit A from that entire motion. We don't see the entire arresting affidavit motion there, probable cause affidavit and whatnot. We just see the Exhibit A. So, but anyhow, we've seen how the state's case has evolved, and much of that stuff has now been, by the state's own new narrative, that's all been proven nonsense, a lot of that. Times have changed, statements have changed, etc. Right? So the same thing happened there with Van Adder and OJ. And largely it revolved around the same matters here we're talking with Idaho, and that's DNA. So in the initial probable cause affidavit on June 17th,
the lack of investigation of DNA, is that correct?
But that too. Yes, sir. That too. So, well, I'll get into that here in a second. Yes, sir. So but what's important to note, on June 17th, when Van Adder writes that probable cause affidavit, he claims they have tests that have confirmed O.J. Simpson's DNA was at the scene of the blood was found at the scene of the crime via DNA testing, right?
And then the
June
DNA
17th,
samples
4 days later,
missing, right?
Well, there's more to that, yes, but just let's think about that. 4 days, right? 4 days after the murders, right? They claim to have DNA test results confirming Orenthal James Simpson was the assailant at the
That's back in the 90s when DNA was in infancy, and it takes now at least like 2 days or a week or whatever to get a DNA sample on the fly.
And this is what caused the man who invented, the Nobel Prize winner who invented the PCR test that became infamous during the cough season of 2020, Kary Mullis. He volunteered for the O.J. Simpson defense team because he said the state was using his test to bastardize this entire thing and frame O.J. Simpson, with this quote unquote alleged DNA evidence. And what they were doing was they, amplifying evidence, using the same thing they've done here with Kohberger, right? Using this PCR test to amplify this quote unquote touch DNA.
Amplify, you say?
Yeah, so they amplify it. That's kind of what the PCR test is designed for. You can take anything and then amplify it and make it look bigger.
Now, this gentleman, it's some European name, I forgot, that came up with the PCR test, was against law enforcement using it from the get-go. He knew that they were corrupt and that it would be used erroneously or whatever, and they proved him true right out of the gate, right?
Yeah, well, it's the same thing we're seeing here. They're using these quote unquote scientific methods to prove something they're just making up.
Sorry, we lost you for a second. You cut out just in the beginning.
Yeah, I'm saying it's the same. They did the same thing with Orenthal, James Simpson. They're doing to Brian Kohberger, and that is using these quote unquote scientific methods and practices to just make shit up. And Kerry Mullis was like, "You're not going to use my test for this nonsense," and it was going to describe how the state was improperly using all this stuff. He passed away a few years ago just before the cough hit. I think August of 2019. So the state discredited this man by saying he was an LSD addict, and they were said before he could testify in the state court in this case that he would have to go to rehab to detox from LSD.
Is that an addictive one, the LSD?
No, but he was one of those guys that was a proponent for it, so he was he was an out there kind of scientist dude. So the guy who discovered DNA discovered it while on an LSD trip, Francis Crick.
No kidding.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay, so go on.
So Mullis was that kind of scientist is all I'm getting at. So they discredited him. He never testified, but that goes to show you that's the same playbook of using these quote unquote scientific methods and trying to convince folks of this, something that isn't there, and using this PCR test to help do that with this quote unquote.
It sounds familiar as to discrediting Cy-Ray as a conspiracy theorist.
Well, yeah, sure. It's along the same lines, right? What they did to Mullis is what they're doing to Ray, right?
It's exactly the same. It's the playbook. There's no lengths that they won't go to bury this, and they make it so obvious. But one thing that at this point that Cosmic Peach did point out was the reason she was so convinced that OJ did it is they're so magical at making it appear in the mainstream media. And if you're going to listen to true crime, or you're going to check out even on satellite radio, I meant to tell you guys, I got the free satellite radio trial again. Like, you get it for the first year that you have a Hyundai, the Sirius satellite. So I'm always listening to the comedy stuff, but they advertise other channels on the channels that you listen to. And one of them is, when you want to talk about true crime, check out Nancy Grace. And it's like, it's like the
when you want to talk about food news, check out Kane B's The Purge.
Okay, so what she said is they're so good at it that she was absolutely 100% convinced. My takeaway, and I hope I'm not jumping your guns on this.
Dude, you better not be cloning me. I don't mind these gun jumpings, but you better not be cloning me.
I'm so tempted to clone you right now. I'm not, out of respect, sir, Master Sergeant.
I appreciate that.
The thing somebody said was that I guess Nick wasn't on there, so it must have been you. Jen will be here soon, by the way. She's waiting for Dad to pick up the kids or whatever. So, is that the interviews with the jury? So remember, OJ was found innocent, no matter what you believe or not. And my really big takeaway was the jury was able to see through the prosecution's lies and see that they had manufactured evidence and know that they were setting him up.
Oh yeah, zero issue with the jury. So it was sold to us, this racial things, but in recent years, the jury has made statements since they released all these photos and started making all these documentaries. And folks like Philip Van Adder, he'd be like the Detective Blaker of the situation, right? He's the other lead detective with Van Adder, Tom Lang. Tom Lang. Tom Lang's been doing a YouTube circuit in recent months. Kato Kalin's been doing a YouTube circuit. The limo driver, Alan Parks, is doing a YouTube circuit. Everyone is doing a YouTube circuit to say OJ did it. You know what I mean? And despite, some of their statements in previous terms, like Kalin and the limo driver, and despite the fact that Tom Lang, the lead detective, would testify in the hearing, in the case, that Ron Goldman had defensive wounds, but he never made contact with his aggressor. Under oath on the witness stand, that's what Tom Lang's statements were. However, in recent years, again, they released the photographs, and turns out Ron Goldman beat the shit out of numerous folks that he was fighting for his life against. So Tom Lang's a fucking liar. And Tom Lang right now is on a tour for whatever reason to convince folks that Orenthal James Simpson did it. And he's deceased. This all started when he died. So he dies, and then everyone's like, oh, we're just going to talk a bunch of shit about the guy. So again, I'm not saying he was a saint. In fact, I'm quite positive he was a Scientology scumbag character of many sorts, but nonetheless, he didn't murder these folks. And if we have any sense of justice or the, any ideas of honoring the fundamental laws of this country, the U.S. Constitution, this whole case acts in contrary and is opposition to that, much like the Manson trial. And the OJ trial was the preceding the OJ case, the longest, the most expensive case was the Manson trial. So more and more correlations between the two, but we have this whole propaganda narrative, and then again, you look at the evidence, and that ain't the case. A lot of these folks were lying, and for whatever reason, they're out there today still perpetrating these lies. But if I can go back to that, how that probable cause affidavit evolved over time. So not only does the 4 days make no sense, and not only did the guy who invented the PCR test come to OJ's defense. Well, it turns out that there's a lot more to that story. So there was
JJ, you froze up there for a second. We lost JJ. JJ down. We'll have JJ back here in a minute. It looks like Jenn is about to join us. Let me grab the link for her real quick. Anybody else wants to jump in? Who knows? Jump on in and talk.
Had on her.
It's coffee.
From
it's
what
talk.
apparently
no
it seemed like from scratching somebody.
There you go. Oh, you were down for a second, JJ.
Hands, and turns out also not Orenthal James Simpson's.
We lost you for a second, JJ. Sorry to interrupt you. You were down for about 10, 15 seconds. I was trying to clone you. Heather says you're in frozen shock phase.
Is this the Purge?
We're purging, bro. This is as purge as it gets on a Thursday night.
Can you hear me?
We got 4 million people watching right now. Does it make you nervous?
Is this the Purge?
We're back, folks. All right, so pick up where you left off, JJ. Sorry about that.
I can't hear you backstage again.
Hello. Can you hear me now? What happened? Well, you having weather over there? What's going on?
I can't hear you, Kane.
That's weird. Because it's coming through on the mic thing, and it's showing.
Is this the Purge?
Hello.
I'm purging.
Hello, operator. Let's see here. Try going out and come back in. It's the only thing I can suggest with this ninja thing. I got another cupcake, dude. You do what you gotta do. Oh. Delicious. The Reese's people. Okay, so the reason I brought up Reese's is because they now have 2 peanut butter and jellies Reese's cups. They're stuffing cups over there overtime at the thing and doing the thing. Let's see here. There's JJ again. Ta-da.
Is this the Purge?
Yeah, we hear you. Can you hear me?
Purge?
Do you hear me now?
I can hear you. Yep.
All right.
Loud and clear, sir.
I like it. You went back to Simpson again.
Yes, sir. So, I think where I left off was, if I may.
You bet.
Or am I interrupting food news?
I was just taking a bite of that damn cupcake, man. Trying to get my diabetes.
Yeah, those are delicious. Those are delicious, dude. You got me plotting on those. I'm a big TV fan.
I feel like I shut you down a little bit when I pulled that out. I'll be honest with you.
Absolutely, dude. I've been over here plotting on that.
I saw the blood run from your face.
Dude, PB's my favorite food group, dude. I mean, you're talking my language, friend.
Yeah, if they, it's still got those seed oils though, because they're gonna use vegetable oil.
Well, here's the deal. You can't win in everything in life, Kane.
I think they have some natural peanut butters. They're just not going to be in these cupcakes unless you make them.
No, they're pretty good. The Jif Natural's pretty good. That's what I eat. It's Jif. It's pretty tasty.
Oh, all right. Finish on up there, sir.
So we see in the Idaho 4 case, we see the evolution of this Brett Payne's PCA statement. From the frozen shock phases to to the whole charade, right? We've seen the whole thing evolve. Now all the roommates were home by 1:56, but now in current revelations, Ethan and Zana weren't home until after 2:00. So, we see these things evolve in that PCA statement. We see the same thing in the Orenthal James Simpson case. So on and above that, we see they have DNA under Nicole Brown Simpson's fingernails, much like they had underneath the nails of Madison Mogan. Now, apparently, neither one of them matched the suspect, right? Apparently, the DNA underneath the nails of Madison Mogan was not Brian Koberger's. And in the Orenthal James Simpson case, the DNA underneath the nails of Nicole Brown Simpson was not Orenthal James Simpson's. So, in addition to that, much like the blood found on the railing in the Idaho case, it was also not Brian Koberger's, but we don't know whose it is. The same thing goes for the blood found on Nicole Brown Simpson. So it seems like when she was attacked from behind, did you lose me? Am I here?
Oh, you're good. You're good. I'm just listening.
I just saw I popped off the screen. I didn't know if you lost me again.
I don't know. Your picture just disappeared suddenly.
Weird. Are you cloning me, Kane?
Yes.
I knew it. I fucking knew it. So we see the blood on the railing that wasn't Koberger's. We see the blood on Nicole Brown Simpson. It wasn't Nicole Brown. It wasn't Orenthal James Simpson's. And it seems like that blood was from when she got attacked from behind, Nicole Brown Simpson, that is, and then she scratched her attackers. Right? You know what I mean? So these were not important to the matters of the case against Orenthal and James Simpson, but it is a direct correlation to the matters we see here. The evolving PCA, the outright lies in it now, right? Same with that, right? So, on and above the fact that it's categorically impossible that they identified Orenthal James Simpson from DNA tests within 4 days of the murders, right? Okay, you there?
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm sorry. I was trying to find an image for Jen and you, since yours disappeared, sir.
We both disappeared, so I didn't know what was going on. So on top of that, we in the 4 days being nonsense, right? Like, so that's June 17th, 1994. Fast forward to the trial, circa March of 1995, at the testimony of one Philip Van Adder, we learned that he had taken. So Orenthal James Simpson returns to Los Angeles from Chicago on the morning of June 13th after taking the red eye to Chicago on the night of June 12th. And he volunteers his blood. They Van Adder takes that blood and keeps it in his pocket for the next 3 days. He does not check that blood in until June 16th.
Yeah, that's a pretty good standard procedure. Keep it in your pocket. That's a
right.
That's a sure way to keep it safe.
On top of that, it's missing 1.5 milliliters when it is finally checked in from the amount taken from the police nurse. So then the police nurse testifies to that, and then Tom Lang, that detective, goes and threatens her, and then the police nurse has to then recant their testimony from the previous testimony from the grand jury. We see the same thing here, right? We see these varying testimonies despite what was told to the grand jury. What this police nurse told the grand jury versus what was later shown in the records. The nurse was like, "Oh yeah, I fucked up." You know what I mean? And so the grand jury testimony of this nurse from the grand jury testimony to the trial testimony altered. We see the same thing here in the Idaho case. But on top of that, so that's March of 1995. We learned that publicly. In May of 1996, preceding depositions to the civil trial, we hear from the criminologist, the head of the LA County Crime Lab, the head criminologist. Kind of like we heard about from the Idaho case, the head criminologist in January talking about the Gooch doing that IGG investigation. Well, the head criminologist in the LA case, and we hear about after the trial ends in October of acquittal in October of 95. This is May of 96. We learned that Philip Van Adder, the lead detective who wrote that evolving PCA statement to arrest OJ that was clearly filled with lies, much like Brett Payne's clearly filled with lies. We learned that Van Adder not only had OJ Orenthal James Simpson's blood in his pocket on June 13th, the same day that, is basically as the investigation starts that morning. At 4 a.m. was when Van Adder responded to the scene. 4 hours after the call, much like Brett Payne, 4 hours after the call, the 911 call, he shows up to the scene. Another correlation. So we see, though, in that testimony in May of 96 from the criminology lab fella, that Van Adder has the victim's blood, vials of the victim's blood, that he checked out from the coroner's lab on June 13th, also in his pocket until June 16th. We also learn, we learned back during the trial that all the evidence, all this blood evidence, was not checked in until after June 16th. So, and again, the vials had missing blood. So what I presumed happened is they did some of the evidence then with the blood stuff, but then another issue came up with some of the blood droplets were not on the white Bronco's inside door, right? They weren't on there for weeks later. So I suspect they transferred some of that blood into other vials before they checked it in, and then used it sparingly to plant as evidence over time, because that's what it appears has gone on here. So nonetheless, though, we see these direct correlations, right? More and more direct correlations with this kind of, I guess, playbook, right?
Looking back on, we're already, in my opinion, looking back on this case now, on everything that's happened. And hey, you're not Jen. We could clearly see. Are you tracking?
I went over a lot of details there. Do I need to recap anything?
I think if you watched the live last night, that's what you picked up on. And I think that you wrapped it up into a nice, neat nutshell. And like I said, the big takeaway for me was the jury seeing through the bullshit, whereas here in this case, we're concerned more that the jury is going to be a bunch of dumbasses that watch CNN and believe everything already going in. It's going to be hard to filter them out. It's going to be hard enough to find jurors that are willing to stick it out, right?
Not only do I disagree, I think Judge Hippler would disagree. Jurors are not as dumb as you think they are, Kane. Go fuck yourself.
Thank you for correcting me, sir.
I'm glad you brought that back up. That's a salient characteristic. So this is at a height of extreme racial divide in Los Angeles, following the riots, following the Rodney King business, following the other fellow that got beat, the white fella. You know what I'm talking about?
The guy in the truck?
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that.
So all that was going on, and a mostly black jury decided that it wasn't about race. They didn't. This wasn't this is the statements of the jurors. So after all these, in recent years, after all these things have been photos, documentaries, etc., some of these jurors have made public statements and done interviews saying, yeah, it wasn't about race. We saw right through it. In fact, we knew Van Adder planted evidence. We knew Furman planted evidence. It was pretty obvious. There was no. They said we didn't have to deliberate much, and none of the deliberations were focused on race.
This is a reason that they brought in Zuckerberg. Darn it, what's his last name? Heffenweisen? Hewitt. To clearly he stuck himself.
You don't know how bad I wanted to Schindler's List you right there. I'm just letting you know that right now. I did not Schindler's List you. I gave you the actual answer.
I appreciate it. I was going to say Point Break, but that was just trying to be original. Anyway, so what was I talking about? The
Schindler's List.
I really did forget. Where's Jenn when you need her?
We were talking about Hurwitz, Mark Zuckerberg's doppelganger.
Yeah, to bring a new face to present to the jury, because it was obvious to him and everybody else that Hushly Jennings and Santa Claus were not going to be able to deliver a likable, and that's, it's a beauty contest a lot of times with these juries, right? Whether you're full of shit or not.
You make some good points, but let's not also be fooled that this man's been running the scene the entire time from behind the scenes.
Oh, absolutely,
now
sure.
He's made his public appearance on the stage. He's slowly creeping up into that lead role, and by the time we see this thing go to trial, he will be the lead prosecutor in the case.
And the thing is, guilty or not, in what's his name? Hiccup?
Can you hear me?
Jen, hey, what's up? Yes,
hey,
we can hear
Jen,
you,
welcome, ma'am. How you doing?
He has to win this case, regardless. Let me turn off your echo here. Okay.
This case has a lot of implications, Kane. Like I said, I think this is what we're describing here, as we ended our last show on that large elephant theory that I probably did not explain well, but we're describing elements of a large elephant that has existed in plaguing America for many decades through these spooky networks of murder and mayhem and drug trafficking, human trafficking, and gun trafficking. And I think we have all those elements here in this case, and that's why we see it again. That's why there's so many comparisons to not only the instances of the OJ case and the instances of the Manson family murders, but direct connections to both of those events from numerous folks. Because we're seeing this network. It's a large elephant.
Oh, wait, that was David Boyd. David Boyd, welcome in. You're muted right now, Jen. If you're trying to talk, just unmute yourself. We have Jen here right now.
No, I was letting JJ talk. He was talking. So
does that make sense?
JJ, I couldn't agree more. And they like I said, he has now inserted himself in the picture, where he was more of a behind the scenes guys, you handle it kind of thing, and now he's had to insert himself literally right between the two of them.
Well, I'm sure him and Scott Green have been inserting a lot of things into each other's selves, but they've both been the ones pulling the strings behind the scenes, I assure you of much.
Who were you talking about? I'm lost.
Hurwitz. He's the new
the prosecutor?
Yeah, well, he's not new, but...
So, Jen, welcome to the Purge. We haven't been purging in a while with you. You feeling better?
Yeah, I'm better.
Nice.
Yeah, it's nice to see you back, Jen.
Yeah, good to be back.
Good. So what's new with you?
New?
What's clicking your brain hole right now?
What's new in food news?
In food news?
Yeah, you did.
That's what this has turned into in your departure and absence. We've been talking mainly.
It's evolved to a type 2 diabetes program.
You guys do a cooking show next time, Kane.
We were going to do the foods of the Idaho 4 segment one day. We haven't gotten to that one yet, though.
I'd like to see a that's a good idea, Jen. I'd like to see a cooking show of Kane but microwave cooking. Like he just microwaves different foods.
Like jail cooking, basically.
Well, he describes the proper temperatures you want to achieve here and the proper time setting, because it's never the time setting on the box, right? It's never the time.
Who reads the instructions?
Yeah, what's that?
That's why we watch Kane's Food Channel for those instructions.
I actually use the toaster oven just so everybody in the audience knows. I exclusively use the air fryer.
I use my air fryer all the time. I love it.
Look, now you're describing season 2 and season 3 of Kane's cooking channel. So I think what you're saying is microwave season 1, toaster season 2, air fryer season 3. It's the evolution of your,
see what it's devolved into, Jen. It's only food and snacking.
Listen, I like food.
What did you make for dinner tonight?
I was barely eating. I was sick. Like, it was horrible. I had no appetite. Like,
man,
I'm just now starting to like come back to the land of the living.
Well, kudos to me. I never let up on you, and I kept riding you like a borrowed circus pony to get you back on the show. So
thanks. I think
there's Meg P. Hello, Meg P. We're
so
glad
what
you're
did
back.
I miss?
Well, we were just about to get to some documents. They decided to seal the alternate perpetrators conspiracy theory that Ann Taylor has put out there, and there has been a big to-do about the ABC or NBC Dateline 2020 investigation because it's a giant leak, and so Hippler declared a fatwa on everybody before and after in law enforcement are related to this case, and said it's a federal crime if you delete your phone contents trying to hide anything. So that's more or less it.
I mean, the only thing that sucks, like, it's good. I'm glad that hopefully there's repercussions. But at the same time, it's like validating all this bullshit.
Oh,
like, I'm sorry. Like, I don't think any of those photos in that Dateline episode were real. Like, it's 2025. Nobody's camera phone is that horrible.
Yeah.
Like,
no, you're spot on, Jen. That's the intended purpose, in my opinion, for Hippler issuing that order is to add validity to these fabricated elements of this Dateline episode.
Yeah, like, because how could it be leaked unless it was valid?
Did you hear what he said, though?
Precisely.
He said that he's paused the case to add validity to the Dateline instead of being really. He's mad about it is all pretend bullshit because they knew it was coming.
Agreed.
It's all part of the show.
Yeah, because it gives it's like acknowledging it, so it makes it look like it really was valid information that was leaked. And it's just.
Yeah, I don't buy any of it. I don't buy anything that's been leaked. I bought the videos for a while because I let my eyes deceive me. But you pointed out like that new St. Andrews video. I don't buy any of that shit. That's clearly fabricated.
Clearly, like, you can like literally see through Kaylee. Another thing, if you look
that's
at
not a video effect
body
either.
cam from that night before, like I think around 11 or 12, like right before midnight, at the Moose Lodge. I think Bubbly Water showed it, and you could see it's like right down the street from Corner Club, and you can see there's like Christmas lights, like lights in the trees if you look down the street. Yep. And I didn't notice any in that video, so I mean it could just be a different angle, but I'm pretty sure it's the same street. I'm like 95% sure.
I'm familiar with what you're talking about. This is the unruly resident at the Moose Lodge.
Yeah.
Yep. Now I'm familiar with what you're talking about now.
I was looking through, I was just working on something. I didn't post it yet, but looking through all the call logs from the 13th, for example. I haven't really looked through the 12th first, but there's like 6 or 7 that are missing. Like, they're all numbered chronologically.
If you recall, at one point, they deleted them all, right? They removed them all from public access for a while.
Yeah, but if you Google, like, I have screenshots, so like I'll copy and paste the text into Google and it'll pull up like the archive. But if you go into their website and search for it, it won't show up.
Right. No, I've noticed that as well.
But yeah, there's like 6 or 7 of them.
What are your thoughts? Have you looked at all the reports and like there's 6 or 7 missing, the comparison to what used to be on there, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I could
nice.
I started to do a video and I just didn't finish it, but I could send you like what I have first, just going through all of them. It's like
wait for your video. That's fine.
Yeah.
I don't want to. Yeah.
No, I mean it's not. That's pretty much it. It was just a couple. It was like a short video.
As long as you premiere it here on the Purge, I'm fine with it.
Well, because if you look at all the, and I'd like to hear your thoughts on it, Jenn. If you look at all the events preceding and the police call logs in I would say just roughly the 2 weeks preceding, not the least of which was the incident the day before with the vandals warning about the knife alert. This indicates to me that this is a town under siege. These are anomalous reports. It actually continues on for weeks after the murders, but I think it's indicative of the same thing you see in the weeks preceding the murders, including the stuff where on November 13th, there seemed to be a larger influx in the days immediately preceding the murders of these activities. These anomalous activities and reports. Folks knocking on windows late at night, folks making noise, someone's shooting a shotgun off in the middle of Main Street at 1 a.m.
Yeah, someone coming into the house and moving things around. Also, I thought it was
Buddy
weird.
the dog.
What happened?
I still think Buddy the dog stands out to me as something was
Agreed.
wrong. Something was
I mean,
wrong.
come on, like how many skin dogs did they have really that it's so like, I mean, that should stand out. It's not common to have that happen. Like
that's a good point, because that's part of the siege, right? So if you were to look at like military tactics of military operations other than war, they call them MOOT-W. This is the acronym for it. But some of those tactics include some activities like these siege-like activities of a town, right? More so on the special operations side, which we see a lot of that special operations stuff going on around this case. But with things such as the work of Edward Lansdale or the his kind of protege in the U.S. Army psyops, Michael Aquino, the satanic man himself, Michael Aquino, who was the mind leader of Mind War, psyops and Mind War. This is he was the U.S. Army psyop dude out of the Fort Bragg Special John F. Kennedy Special Warfare Center. So
I mean, I'm telling you, it's starting to. I mean, every day that psyop theory like becomes more and more plausible. Another thing about
I think it can be both, right?
Yeah, true. It could be both. It doesn't mean that it didn't happen just because it's a psyop. It just they're definitely trying to manipulate the public via the media, and that's just I mean, it's obvious.
Yeah, I think it's part and parcel to the same thing. So what I'm saying, if you're going to run this kind of siege mentality of what was done in Laos and Cambodia with U.S. Army Special Forces under the guise of Edward Lansdale and Michael Aquino back in Vietnam, this is where they developed these tactics and sharpened their tools, and things like the Phoenix program and stuff like that as well were involved in this. But it's this siege mentality of how do you scare a population. And it's these tactics, it's these small tactics, right? It's not, obviously you build up to a larger event like a quadruple homicide, but that siege begins with shooting a shotgun off in the middle of Main Street, knocking on people's doors at 2 a.m, skinning a dog, having a knife alert the day before these murders. It's the escalation of terror.
Yeah, I think there was a fear in that house, and I think that could be why Kaylee wasn't staying there, if she ever really lived there officially, which I'm on the fence still. But
I can assure you there was a fear in that town afterwards. That town was frightened to shit.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they're quiet. That means someone's powerful.
Even the gooch sent her own daughter back to school with a pistol. So
really?
Even the gooch was afraid.
That says something. Did you notice that on the 13th, on the call logs, there's one around maybe I think like 5:30 p.m. and it says suspicious person / circumstance, but it's a call for someone that was looking to locate a dog that was brought to the shelter. So I'm assuming that probably is Murphy, but they did a report. So why they never do reports? Why would do a report for that? First of all, second of all, why is it suspicious? And there's one right after it that they did a report for a stray dog. So I feel like I haven't ever done like a public records request, but I probably should for those two, because why would they do reports? They never do reports.
Let me take this question real quick, guys, from Amy Conway.
Hi, Amy.
If I can, JJ, let me see if I get it right. She's asking, do you think if BK is found not guilty in Idaho, if the feds will try him? But that ship has already sailed, Amy. They had... Go ahead. I'm sorry. Okay, I figured I was on the wrong track.
Well, I mean, I was just answering that. No, go ahead. I was just answering it in the chat at the same time. So go ahead, sir.
No, yeah, I was saying that their investigation was to indict him, and further than that, they're not ever going to admit to doing anything else. And so, once he's freed in Idaho, it's going to be up to the public justice, I think, whether or not their people are going to get violent or not, because the system failed them, lied to them, or he got off on a technicality. There is going to be consequences and repercussions for him being released.
Yeah, his life is ruined. I mean, period.
Well,
I don't even if his parents were going to be there for the trial. Like, I don't think it would be safe for them. Like, people are just, I don't know. They're getting like Steve G's riling them up. To be honest,
look at the little stuff they do to somebody like Heather, Lucy Morningstar, the dark one. They literally. They have no arguments, and so in chats they'll literally resort to threatening to send her D-pics. That's how they win an argument. And so, but you also have people sending threatening letters through they'll find your address, or they'll like what they did with some of the other creators, where they've threatened them and used all kinds of slurs against them. There's no bottom, and ultimately, you have that one couple that was they were YouTube podcasters, that the guy went to the house and took the life of the girl of the couple, or both of them. I'm sorry.
I never heard about that.
Yeah, it's huge. And so
may I provide commentary on these federal charges before we move on?
For one payday bar, sir.
I will take that. I will trade you one payday bar for 3 hula burgers.
I'll pay you next Tuesday.
Deal. So I think the feds are not going to let if shit were to fall, if shit falls out in the state court, which I don't think it will. I really don't. But if it were, the contingency plan is absolutely to charge them in federal court, but not for murder, because they can. I mean, they can try, but I think that's going to be a double jeopardy situation all day. But I think they'll go a different route and charge them with federal crimes. They'll come up with something. He crossed he jaywalked in the wrong way. But no, I mean that's the reason why they let it go to Pennsylvania. That was in my opinion, part of the contingency plan. Because if shit falls out, well, it's no longer an issue of interstate commerce and travel, because he came from Washington, murdered folks in Idaho, and had to get picked up there in Pennsylvania. So the feds can put a number of charges on him in that regard that are not murder, but are,
Well, not to mention, the civil thing like you had in the OJ trial.
Right. Well, again, if we're going to see any civil cases in here, Brian Koberger ain't got no money. If we're going to see any civil cases in here, as I've alluded to in the past, that if you're going to sue anybody, you're going to sue the university, the town, and the state. And I suspect that was already taken care of via payoffs to the families under non-disclosure agreements, so they can't discuss these settlements.
100%. I believe they were paid
The
off.
idea of discussing the settlement is discussing the settlement, so they can't even discuss the idea of the settlement. Are you tracking?
Yeah.
Right.
But there's been no lawsuits, right?
Just the tort claims. I don't really know too much about that, though.
Well, even the fellow over there in Washington State, the most recent death over there from a fraternity, we saw lawsuits. I don't think we saw any with Hudson Lindau's family, which I found odd in that one as well. But usually, it is very typical amongst any of these fraternities, sorority deaths across America. The families sue the university, the state, and sometimes the authorities and the fraternities as well. But there's, for example, Riley Strain. You've mentioned that case, Kane. His family recently, was a smiley face killer victim in March 21st of 2024, circa. His parents recently filed a lawsuit against the fraternity members, the state, the University of Missouri. So,
yeah, it's, I was watching something about that kid Christian Martinez that died at WSU.
Yep, that was him.
And no, I'm sorry, was it? I don't know.
You're right. No, it's Christian Martinez.
It might have been Luke Tyler. I don't know. Anyway, it doesn't matter. One of them. And WSUPD literally had said that they intentionally waited to let the statute of limitations run out, hoping that they would get into his phone or something like that. I have to watch it again, but like they were trying to make it seem like they couldn't access his phone, and they used Celebrite, the same. I know that somewhere, I don't know, they're in some of the docs that companies being mentioned in the Koberger case. So I'm like, come on, since when can police not get into a college kid's phone?
Right.
So it just seems like a whole bunch of bullshit. It was Gary Jenkins was talking about it. He's like, "Oh, yeah, we waited because we thought that we would see something in the phone." And then the reporter's like, "Well, what were you hoping to see?" He's like, "Oh, just maybe some text messages saying, hey, but I'm sorry about what happened," or something like that. I'm thinking to myself, what? Like, that's what you guys are waiting for? Like, it was a bunch of bullshit.
I'm sure they're bullshitting, right? I mean, there sounds like, everything they do is bullshit around that town, I feel like.
Yeah, definitely. It's just, it's like intentional. It's intentional incompetence.
It's a fiefdom. They're controlling their own fiefdom.
You say FIFA?
They're running a fiefdom there. FIFA. They're running a FIFA fiefdom.
No, the thing about the correlations with OJ is great examples, but another point that Cosmic Peach Girl made yesterday was that, I want to look at all these other cases and see where the corruption, how many innocent people are actually in prison right now.
Right.
And to be honest with you, there's a majority, I would say, in the Idaho 4 community that are all new. This is all new. We were just fascinated by what a weird case it was. And here we've had to become experts in timing data and cell phone records and maps and how police procedures work, and now how jurisprudence works. What's that?
The Meowery report.
Don't forget the Meowery report.
I'm a scholar at the Meowery report, sir. At the updated Meowery report. But the thing is a lot of us are new, and so it is important to be able to look at all these other cases, because we're kind of new coming in, and a lot of people don't have any fascination really with anything else, like Karen Reed and all these other cases. It doesn't draw you in like this.
I never even followed true crime before this, honestly. Like, I kind of was like into the Debbie Collier case, but that was like the first one, really. But I was not even half as involved as I am with this one. Just Maddie just reminded me so much of my sister that was killed, and that's what initially got my attention, and then it just sucked me in.
Yeah, I don't do true crime either, and I still don't consider myself doing true crime today, but
I don't follow anything.
This case really, when I first got notified of it, to pay any attention to it, because I was involved in some other shit at the time, but I had some friends up there, some dudes of mine from the Air Force, and they alerted me to this, and they were concerned about the details they were sharing with me at the time. That's literally what alerted me to it. And then once I looked at it, I was like, well, this is a gross violation of police procedure, and then it just, from there, just started, going downhill, because then it became a gross violation of Koberger's rights. And then there's the fictional, nature of their whole investigation or lack of investigation. And then they're like, when it's time to present evidence, they're like, well, we don't have any reports, chain of custody, or much anything else, but we do have this wonderful and fabulous PowerPoint presentation. And have you seen the Meowery report? Because it's a bombshell.
Well, I'm still stuck on the PowerPoint and the weight that'll bring in the hearing, because if you have a fabulous PowerPoint, there's no jewelry in the world that's going to be able to resist. So a lot of us have these ideal expectations going in. Sorry, I had to take a bite of my dinner. Expectations going into the trial, which, in my opinion, is going to be delayed at least till November. However, that seems to work out. I think Hippler is flubbing all over himself right now, and he's going to be like, need more time. And so, I don't know.
We're going to be lucky to see spring 2026, sir. Lucky to see it.
I'm hoping for November, because I've just gotten caught up on my bills.
Dude, they got it.
And everything's going to go to the
right now,
road
friend.
to Moscow from here on out. I'm sorry?
Oh, go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I was just saying they're looking for options. You got time for that road to Moscow.
You think? I don't know. I feel their objective is to get this thing over with, to get him on death row, and to get the whatever appeals shot down.
I don't think it's going to happen this year.
Yeah, that was before shit hit the fan. You know, that was before shit hit the fan.
Did it really hit the fan, though? I mean, they did it themselves, so their overreaction doesn't fool me in the slightest.
Is the puppet master now the lead prosecutor? Did he kick Bill Nye, the science guy's son, back to the back of the courtroom, sir? I believe yes, he did. And
yeah, like a 2-year-old, right?
Shit hit the fan. The man got fired, and then decided to forego his future career and decided he needed to prosecute this case. It makes no political sense. It makes no reasonable sense. It makes no logical sense. But here it is where we're watching it play out with Hurwitz. You know what I mean? So, yeah, shit hit the fan. You know what I mean? There's disagreements. You know, there's opposing forces that we don't see publicly.
There's not much of a future for anyone involved in this case. And I think
not bright.
I think pending
certainly not
retirement.
Cheshley Jennings here. She's got a future rolling around in shit, basically.
She's got a long way to go to explain herself.
Pigs rolling shit.
But there's, you're probably in a better position if your retirement is pending in this case, as opposed to, trying to be Cheshley Jennings or Hippler or anybody, even Ann Taylor.
For sure.
This case just has this dark aura around it that is just going to follow everyone.
Let's take note of who's already punched. Fry's out of here. Captain Lanier's out of here. We got John Judge is out of here. We got who else we got? We got Vic the Goose.
The guy from ISP, Kedrick Wills or whatever.
Yeah, the Colonel, right?
Yeah,
Colonel from ISP, yep. The Gooch clocked out 2 weeks after she did that interview with Dylan Mortensen talking about frozen shock phase and balaclavas.
No shit.
Yeah, also...
in those 2 weeks, she did that IGG investigation. December 4th, I believe it is, 2022, she does the Dylan Mortensen interview. And then the subsequent 2 weeks before she retires, I believe on or about December 21st, strangely enough, is the day she officially retires, she did the IGG investigation. So that's literally what she did on the way out the door.
The majority of people are not going to question the outcome should Kohberger be found guilty. Now, I have noticed something among the law community, though, like the clip I played from earlier, where people are just like, I have never seen this amount of security or whatever involved in any court trials, in as many court trials as I've been in. Direct quote.
Think about how many things happen in this case that have either never happened before or hardly ever happened before. The removing of items from the house by police, right? Trying to sanitize a crime scene before an arrest. Let's see what else. We have the whole PCA, just basically everything switched, and overnight. We have the search warrant that was sealed for the reason of a threat to law enforcement. The search warrant for Brian's apartment. Do you remember that?
There's a whole nother topic, but go ahead. Yes,
I'm saying, think about all the things that don't usually happen. Even Ann Taylor saying in court that Brian is innocent. That's not something that happens often.
Right.
I mean, there's so many rarities in this case. Just the crime itself is rare. You know how rare it is for a stabbing by a stranger for one person, let alone four, let alone in someone's home? with no connection. Like usually mass stabbings happen like in public places, like someone just goes crazy in a mall, or there's a connection and it's someone they know.
It's that kind of stuff, Jen, is every day. You know, school shoot. I mean, it's tragic as it is. It's, you know, this one, what stood out most to me.
You bring up some great points, Jen. You bring up some great points.
Hold on, let me finish, JJ.
If I may bring up tonight's episode of The Purge is sponsored by type 2 diabetes, and yes, please continue, Kane.
It is sugar-free, JJ. I'm just letting you know. The thing that I think drew people, when we talk about what drew people to this case from never having done true crime or whatever you call it, and I know for me it stood out, was that the roommates didn't call 911 for 8 hours. You cannot overlook that as extremely unusual. That's all. Go ahead, JJ. Sorry.
Well, I got a couple points to follow up. Jen, you bring up some great points. All of those things are very anomalous and against normal procedures and activities. However, we do see all of those elements you did identify in a different case, and that is the case of the state of California versus Orenthal James Simpson. Everything you just identified, every characteristic you just pointed out was present in that case.
Interesting.
So it's part of this kind of framework. I think Kay and I were discussing more of a framework. These are the framework to frame somebody.
It's literally like from Luigi Mangione to a small boyfriend girlfriend domestic here in Sarasota, Florida. You hear the same terms. You hear the same stories. You see the same changes in timelines over and over and over and over without any kind of scrutiny.
Yeah, but I mean, this is such an anomalous situation, as Jim was pointing out, that we don't see this in many cases, and the cases we do see are few and far between, such as the Orenthal James Simpson case, and here we go with more direct correlations to that case again. But if I've learned anything from listening to the comments of Steve G, and I assure you it's not much, I do take away a few positive takeaways. I have taken away is he makes a very good point when he says gag orders are for matters of national security.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a great point. And while you're pointing out these attorneys in that clip I sent you and you shared with us this evening there, Kane, I appreciate that. That's a great clip there. That's what I'm talking about. More of these attorneys need to be picking up on the fact that this is so anomalous. It's so far outside the boundaries of the protocols and principles of the American jurisprudence system that every attorney, in my opinion, should be lighting fires. Not
every person in this country should be lighting fires, because even if you think he's guilty, what they're doing is still wrong. Period.
Right.
And have you
part of that magic show, right?
In the Keith Raniere Nexium, that whole case with the FBI tampering with photos. Did you hear about that?
Yeah, that's bullshit and infiltration, I would say, into the Federal Bureau of Investigations by this cult network. So the Nexium cult should be described as the Albany chapter of the Process Church of the Final Judgment.
So you don't think that those photos were really tampered with? They had 7 experts that said they were tampered with.
Well, I hear you, and I just think that it's subterfuge amongst this spooky cult network that I often describe as Iran Contra or Idaho Contra, and involving matters of quote unquote national security, because turns out there was 32 former and current intelligence officials that said the Hunter Biden laptop was Russian propaganda. So I don't put much credence into folks in Washington and their statements of what is not fact.
No, well, yeah, that's the point. Because people will make it seem like it's really not even possible or common for law enforcement or the feds to tamper with evidence in order to put someone behind bars for whatever reason. It's happening right now in that case, in the Raniere case. The FBI tampered with like timestamps on photos and things like that with digital evidence to make it seem like some girls were minors. I'm not saying he's innocent. I still think the dude's creepy, but my point is,
I would argue again. Don't. Yeah, well, no, you're right. It does happen all the time. But relative to this Raniere biz, I would argue again. Don't buy. I would say, generally speaking, folks shouldn't buy the hype. I like to say one of the rules I live by is I don't believe anything in what I hear and half of what I see.
Yes, I said that too.
With Raniere, I assure you, this is subterfuge. So if this can put it into better context for you, the NXIVM cult is not only connected to this national security apparatus of this cult trafficking, homicidal network of drug trafficking, human trafficking, gun trafficking that we, colloquially describe as Iran-Contra, and I like to call now Idaho-Contra because the network still exists. These matters, are so connected to national security, but they're also funded by families such as the Rothschilds. So the Rothschilds literally financed the NXIVM cult. And again, the NXIVM cult, I would argue, is the Albany chapter of the Process Church of the Final Judgment, and I have very strong circumstantial argument to make that, with pictures and statements from folks involved. On top of that, that cult had infiltrated the New York state politics, both state and federal. So
yeah, well, you had the mayor of New York City and the police chief both were involved, where they were like high level Masons too, and there was
it's far worse. It's far worse. So relative to NXIVM, you got the U.S. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who replaced Hillary Clinton as U.S. Senator from New York. Her father was not only an executive in NXIVM, he was a paid member. I mean, you're a paid member of a cult. I mean, you're up there. And, he's married to her first cousin, his niece. They're both members of the cult.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the case itself. I was just following more along the lines of, because I think Alan Dershowitz is involved on his defense team somehow. I was just following.
Of course he is. Why wouldn't he be?
Right.
Dershowitz is always there, right? He's in the OJ
Listen,
case.
I like him. But really, my point is,
like
the way I was kind of connecting this was the fact that it's not that uncommon for the feds or law enforcement to fabricate evidence rather than admit that they're wrong.
They like, especially in these cases when they want to frame somebody, which they have a network in which to do so under these national security measures, that they'll frame someone real good.
Yeah, and people
that's
say,
kind of what we were talking about
he's
before.
Not important enough to frame. That's not the point.
It's not the person, it's the circumstances. I think, and that's what we were talking about here tonight. Because I was doing a show last night on it. Orenthal James Simpson did not do it, and Kane was commenting on how he enjoyed my guest Julia Cosmic Peach host's perspective on the whole magic show, because she was born in 1994, so she grew up under this entire magic show that Orenthal James Simpson was guilty. And
yeah, I caught the end of it, but I missed the whole all your points about it. But
well,
I remember watching that case.
Here's the relative question, you guys. Before I get to Rochelle,
I think it's that magic show, though, right? Yeah. We're talking about.
Yeah, absolutely. But here's the thing: there has to be some kind of connection as to why, how, where, or when that BK was selected. And I think it's becoming obvious that since there's some type of security, I don't think it's national security, to be honest with you. In this case, I think it's the security of law enforcement, is that BK was granted a position somewhere that he needed to do for his degree and found out something about somebody, and it was a kill two birds with one stone situation.
I mean, I don't think it can be
That's a fair analysis.
The fact that Gary Jenkins retires, I think in August, maybe, only a couple months before the unalivings happened, he retires from WSU as he was chief there. He's the one that interviewed Brian, and then he becomes chief at WSU. So he went from Pullman. I'm sorry, he was chief at Pullman PD, and then became chief at WSU, even though he had retired. It wasn't like it was a year in between. I just feel like that cannot be overlooked. I feel like that's a hell of a coincidence.
Oh, it's all one network. Again, all the chiefs, the sheriffs, they kicked the Latah County sheriff out of the task force, I think, back in 2004. So he's an odd man out in that whole scene up there, that Latah County sheriff. But all these police chiefs and sheriffs and prosecutors, they run that drug task force board. So they all and they run joint SWAT operations, joint 911 operations. It's all collectively. The universities have cooperative agreements of numerous capacities. It's all.
Yeah, I think usernames.
The best way to look at it is one function. It's one function as a town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a lot of corruption over there, as we've seen. What's up, Scott Metalhead? Good to see you, bro.
Well, if I may offer my theory on how Koberger got selected.
Go ahead. Yeah.
It is relative to this corruption and the fact that he was over there doing internship with over there doing at least whether or not he got selected and if he started. I suspect he probably did. I suspect he was probably working traffic detail that evening during Parents Weekend for the.
I think he was involved with that. They have like some kind of crime lab or something with access to body cams and like CCTVs across the campus. They had some grant that was given a few years prior to that, and they had put up cameras to be as like some kind of deterrence on College Hill. I think it's called College Hill.
Sure. I just think it's far simpler than that. I think he got selected because he drove a white Elantra and they looked down the hallway and said, put it on the intern.
I think that's what they did. They got videos and said, okay, like what kind of car can we kind of tie together? Okay. Yeah. All right.
And he was out there.
It was planned really in advance. I don't know. I'm in between.
I think they knew where he was earlier in that day, and I suspect they knew that because he probably was doing an internship, and he was probably involved in some sort of traffic detail capacity during Parents Weekend that weekend there. But in regards to whether or not things are getting stamped national security, how dare you, sir? You're going to tell me Steve G is incorrect?
I try to believe as little as what Steve G says as possible.
No, I'm being facetious, but I think you're looking at it too narrowly. If matters of FTX are related to this, if matters relative to the drug trafficking trade are relative to this, these matters will get stamped national security, and then they'll be portrayed in some other capacity to a limited fashion, as we're seeing here, right?
They're going to have to go with international security next because they're literally running out of steps. But I think
if I may add one point here on Alan Dershowitz, though, for Jen, if I may swing your opinion whatsoever in the minor capacity of facts here relative to the Dersh, would you believe he did it a 60 Minutes interview trying to convince the world that Prince Andrew didn't diddle young children with Jeffrey Epstein, and in the background of that interview in his living room was this old lady sex doll the entire room.
My God. Yeah, he gives me creepy old man vibes all day.
Super creepy.
But when it comes to when he talks, he makes some good points. I gotta at least not his I don't like him personally as a person, but he was talking about the level of corruption, and I was like, holy shit! Like, and he was comparing it to all the things wrong in the Idaho case, and he made a lot of really good points.
I'll have to check out that clip. I'm unfamiliar with that.
I'll send it to you. Yeah.
In regard to his actual constitutional legal arguments, the man's a buffoon who clearly enjoys the smell of his own farts. He can't argue his way out of a paper bag. I don't know how he became the youngest tenured Harvard law professor and this esteemed constitutional scholar, but I assure you, it's not from his legal arguments.
I don't know that much about all that. I just saw a video and I liked what he said.
I've gone deep down the Dersh rabbit hole, and he's a fucking moron.
Harvard ain't what it used to be.
You lost me at smelling the farts.
But
JJ, what do you think
before you go, Jen, let me get my thing in and finish.
Okay, I'm gonna go get a water. I'll be right back. One second.
Yep. So as far as the cloud-based forensics and BK, I think there were several reasons he was selected, and like I was saying, okay, so you have the chief. You said he went from being the chief of the Pullman Police Department, which is full of corruption. We've seen it. To being the head of the WSU campus police, which is like becoming the safety patrol, the crossing guard in the public.
Yes. It was just he retired from Pullman PD as chief. He's the one that interviewed Brian. Like, he's the one that email that they show all the time. And I think it was like literally, I think it was like within a month or two that he went from I retired to, okay, just kidding, I'm gonna go to WSU. And I don't know, just something about that just sticks out to me, especially when you consider that you got WSU, who initially, quote unquote, found the car, the Elantra, allegedly. That was on the end of November. And then you have someone who allegedly lived 1,200 feet from Brian, that was allegedly the driver that sent in his white Elantra despite being the wrong year. So there's just like a connection to Pullman. It's like people were trying to draw attention to Brian. Like, hey, maybe okay, shit, they didn't pay attention. Okay, let's try another tip.
Like I was saying, you have three things with Brian. I think that he found out something very, very incriminating about the police department in general, and maybe about law enforcement in the area, since, like JJ says, they're all very connected. And then also, he's easy to pin it on. Oh, he won't be able to even reply. He's autistic. He's got that weird look. People will instantly judge him. Okay,
yeah, that's right.
And then you have the third thing, that he's an outsider.
There you go.
And you can throw all those three into a pot, and you got your double boiling trouble.
Can I ask you guys something? Okay, this cloud-based forensics education that he allegedly has, like, when did he get a degree in that? Because I just Googled what it is, and it seems pretty complicated, like something you would have to, like, go to school for.
I don't know where all that started.
I don't know, because he, as far as I know, he only has like a psychology and then like the criminal justice.
Correct. Yes, ma'am. So I actually went through the entire curriculum, his syllabus and everything for his whole education. When I was going through these people that claim to have encountered him at places like DeSales or whatnot, and
allegedly, yeah.
Yeah, exactly, and it's provably nonsense, right?
Right, because the teacher said that he was a remote student. So, like, how did they?
Well, not only that, none of these people were even in the class or the place they said they were at the time in which they did this. So I went through all these curriculums, and I don't know where these claims of this cloud-based forensic stuff comes from, because he's got psychology, criminal justice. He doesn't even have that much outside of that. I mean, there's like one biology course, one and most of it's criminology, a little bit of psych.
Right, like why criminals do what they do. It's not the how to do a crime, it's the why that he studies. Exactly. That's why I was always like lost on that forensics, cloud-based forensics shit.
I didn't track down that narrative. Now you mention it, I'll have to go back and look to see where the epicenter of that activity began.
Yeah, because like it kind of came from, like, I can't find any link.
Well, I'm of the mindset that all these stories we hear about old BK are bullshit, because first of all, the one that perpetrates, I don't buy this heroin nonsense, and I don't either.
I don't either. And
no
listen, if he
did,
God bless him, because that is impressive to overcome.
That's what I'm saying. I know dope heads. I've seen dope heads.
There's no way.
I know PhD students. I know professors. My brothers are professors. They're both PhDs. So I've seen the amount of dedication and work that goes into these things.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You're not doping out like that.
I don't think so
and achieving
either.
these things.
I don't buy it. I never bought that.
Well, on top of that, so I tracked down
selling the sister's phone. I never bought that either.
I tracked down at least one of the folks that were making that claim.
Yeah.
And that fella demonstrably did not, the story he tells of how he knew BK and when they encountered and how he encountered him later and he doing all this heroin, it doesn't check out with the actual evidence of this fella's life, including his high school yearbooks and junior high yearbooks that I found record of, that seemingly dispel any notion when he's going to school an hour away from BK that he went to school with BK. So granted, the man's father lives in BK's town. The man's father is the retired command sergeant major of the 7th Special Forces Group at Fort Bragg.
Interesting.
And his son demonstrably is telling tales, at least of how he knew BK, that are not correct, spinning this heroin narrative and further doing so in a manner that seems like it's part of a larger network of propaganda.
And then you have that one kid that was talking about him that like has his own true crime like TikTok channel. Like, come on,
Holy
bro.
smokes, you're right. I forgot about that kid, and that's one of the ones that was in that alleged biology class that was complete bullshit. Yeah, he does have a TikTok channel.
Yeah,
and then you got Kopacka's buddy who came out in the media. He's included in that 911 report too on Kopacka. Dunkin' Donuts. Dunkin' Donuts has his own true crime. He came out saying all this true crime YouTube stuff, it's a problem. And turns out, literally when I looked up the dude's name in May of 2023, when NBC ran that report, Dunkin' Donuts has his own true crime podcast. Let me get the fuck out of here. This is ridiculous.
What about the two women running that really big Facebook group, the one that Papa Roger was posting in, Idaho Case Discussion, whatever the hell it's called? Those two women, okay, coincidentally, were also, not only did Papa Rogers post in their group, they're also the ones that obtained the "What Did You Say to Adam" video. And also the corner club still frame from the footage, from the video footage, allegedly. Like, you telling me those two, like they got those big pieces of all those three things? Come on. Like,
when you start on that same note, I like where you're heading at down that pathway. I agree with you on that. If you want to get weirder on that road, I got some points to make on that. Go ahead, Kane.
When you start talking about leaked footage,
I didn't start talking about it.
And you start talking about propaganda. Isn't it
propaganda?
Wouldn't you call it coincidental that, okay, first of all, let's just start with the obvious.
Look, here in America, your taxpayer money is going to buy you the best propaganda the money can pay for, Kane. You should be proud as an American. You should be proud as an American that your propaganda is top notch. And you're the best the money can buy.
They're really bending over backwards at NASA to pull this one off. No, but when you talk about,
I agree. You should be happy about that.
Leaked stuff, and you talk about that it was leaked for propaganda purposes. If you're gonna leak something, show me something I haven't already seen. Show me the Corner Club video. Show me the video from Kibby Dome.
Show me a moonwalking, dancing baby. Remember that like graphic from the early aughts? You know what I mean? Like,
sure.
If you're gonna get together with some CGI, do something impressive.
That Corner Club picture is fake AF, in my opinion. Like, think about it.
I think you're right.
You're right. Look at how many people were cleared in the court of public opinion from just that one leak. You got
one wave of the hand.
Oh, see, he was not
guilty.
Suspicious. Then you got, oh no, Jack D's not suspicious. Oh, look, he was with them. No,
that was the quickest.
Oh, Adam's in the picture. See,
that spun everybody's heads around, Jen. That one was like, what do you mean they're clear? That's the boyfriend. You need. It's going to take a year for you to prove that one.
She has him blocked on Instagram for a reason. Is all I'm going to say.
So if I may take us down a weirder path with all these weird propaganda campaigns. So we saw in 2022, November to approximately Thanksgiving to mid-December 2022, this onslaught of tarot card reading. I'm not going to use any names to avoid getting any litigious nature from the tarot cards of the other side demanding otherwise, whatever. But I think it's all propaganda. So the tarot card lady, we see that campaign pop off, and then an immediate lawsuit. And lawsuits don't generally happen that fast, especially when you issue a cease and desist letter. Typically takes longer than a week because you got to convince folks of the egregious nature of these actions later in a court.
Yeah, especially against just one person in a lawsuit.
When other the same lawyer representing the professor at UI that's suing the TikToker, it's the same lawyer representing like the media when they were trying to about the gag order or the cameras in the courtroom for the Cobra.
Well, that's interesting. You can send me that. I would like to see some of that because I've been reading more into that stuff.
Yeah.
So that same professor. So if you look at her history, where she came from, so you take in consideration these facts that it looks like propaganda, right? It smells like propaganda. It's probably propaganda.
You think? But why? What do you think the reason is? Just kind of scared the, true crime community, quote unquote.
100%. So 100%. So you look at the characters involved. The lawsuit happens way too fast. The cease and desist order, they basically let the ink dry on it before they filed the lawsuit.
Yeah.
These are not normal. That's not normal protocol. And again, you got to convince folks of the egregious nature of this defamation. And a defamation, again, they technically won this through summary judgment, which is bullshit. And I don't agree with summary judgment generally, but it means the summary judgment means the judge waves the wand and says, everyone here, like that camera footage from the Corner Club where the police waved their hand and said, all these folks are not guilty. The summary judgment is essentially the judge waving their hand and saying, this side wins.
Well, the cops wouldn't even verify that video. They would not.
That's part of the game.
That's part of the. So it wasn't that they cleared those three, even though they did clear.
They did. They did a press conference and they released stuff. Yeah,
it was more so to clear in the court of public opinion. Is my point, because even though they were cleared by MPD in their releases, people were still like, I don't know, why is Hoodie Guy with them? And then he. It looks like he's mad that they left him and blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's part of the show, Jen. That's what I'm saying. So they're not going to officially recognize it while also officially recognizing it.
Yeah,
so
they wouldn't validate
They're going to say in their statements these folks are cleared while also not officially clearing them publicly because of that video, but they go hand in hand.
Right.
So So what I'm getting at here with this other TikTok stuff is it was to dispel the true crime community that was asking questions. In fact,
Scare them to shut up so they don't get
before the
sued.
Moscow PD stopped talking, they told folks to stop fucking talking and asking questions about things, and they were the only source of information. And this is after they spun their own conspiracy theories, going back to Oregon with murders and cars and whatnot that they addressed from the podium. So you see the TikTok tarot lady, she's from a sorority. She's also an army. She and her husband are both Army veterans. Her husband's still active duty.
You know who else is Army? Is Brian's neighbor that invited him to the pool party. His name's Christian Martinez as well.
Oh, that's interesting.
Something about him and the DJ guy. Just
where did he?
I don't know.
Where did he serve? Do you know?
I have no clue. No clue.
So,
I can
so
send you his information.
Oh, please do. So if you look at her, this Army lady, TikTok tarot lady, she's a sorority member. She's sorority sisters with Kamala Harris.
So is Brett Norton. She's in sorority, and I think also Ethan Chapin's mom was in Alpha Phi, I believe.
Well, there's definitely a lot of that going on. But I mean, I don't want to belabor this point any longer. But so the TikTok lady, she's from Howard University sorority. Again, it's the same sorority and the same chapter Kamala Harris went to. I'm just saying, you want for political connections. So it's not just the same sorority. They were the same chapter house there at Howard. Not at the same time, but nonetheless, not that many years separate. You know what I mean?
Brad Little, the governor of Idaho, was in the same fraternity as Hunter Johnson. For
sure. Lots of those going on, for sure. Yeah. And same with Coomer Scott Green. He wasn't the same one. I forget which one he was, but he was a former frat president there at University of Idaho. But
and even when he was working in New York, he was still alumni on the alumni board. He still was pulling strings. People don't realize that.
Oh, he's remained connected, for sure.
100%.
But
possibly
so if
got
you look at this
university in on that.
If you look at this University of Idaho history professor lady,
what was her name?
She come.
Do you remember?
I don't. I'm not trying to get. I'm not trying to fire up any litigious nature of any of these characters. Because I know the tarot lady's back in the mix doing stuff and filing stuff and on TikToks again or whatever. But nonetheless, so I think it's part of a larger campaign. But again, to dispel anyone asking questions, the police are saying don't ask questions. This is also deterring folks through this kind of nonsense. So the professor comes from Oregon as well.
Interesting.
And she comes from a college where the first sorority there was Pi Beta Phi and Sigma Chi. They were the only two Greek organizations for the first 40 years of that university. Now today they have, I think, four frats and 4 sororities. On her bio, it used to say she was a graduate in 2008 from her own website, and she was a Pi Beta Phi member. It no longer says that, and I cannot find any other corresponding evidence, so I no longer make that claim. But it used to say that. And again, this is a small college out there, again, right in the Salem, Oregon area, right there around Portland. So back to these weird activities around that same area, right, of Oregon.
Yeah.
But nonetheless, she's also deeply involved in the gay rodeo.
Gay rodeo, interesting.
Yeah. And
that's a thing in Idaho, right?
Big thing. Yeah.
Rodeos are big money.
The star of the gay rodeo sits on the board of that Lates Hall County Drug Rehab Center, along with 3 Moscow PD officers, two retired and currently Dollinger. He just got assigned to the board. He's the captain. He's the police chief, right?
Yes, I guess.
So
I don't know. I don't remember when it happened.
When he became police chief, he seems to have been added to the board this last year of this drug rehab center that consists, looking back at their passport, it's always consisted of like 3 Moscow PD officers, current or retired, and 3 real estate agents, and this gay cowboy who just happens to live in close proximity to the Chapins up there near Seattle. He's also big in the gay rodeo. He's the star of the gay rodeo in that region, and that history professor just happens to be deep into that whole coordinating gay rodeo events. So there's no way they don't know each other. Again, why these folks sit on a drug rehab center and maintain this control between Moscow PD real estate agents and one gay cowboy is beyond me.
The first time I found Lucifer Morningstar, right, it was on the document, the sale of 733 Taylor Avenue, which has a sign on the front of it that says The Lodge. I think I sent you a picture of it. the one with the garage that like pulls in at an angle.
Yes,
So that was dated on the same day as the unalivings, and the real estate agent on that one is someone named Jessica Dollinger. I don't know if it's his wife. Maybe they're related. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. But
that's interesting. I'll have to look into
maybe
that.
she's an agent. Yeah.
So Lucifer Morningstar, and that's interesting you bring that up. So did that make sense with the weird road I just took us on from the dispelling the TikTok rumor stuff, the bullshit lawsuits, the disregarding of nature protocol and such filing of lawsuits and whatnot, and the summary judgments of whatnot, and then that seemingly goes back to more sorority stuff in the same area of Oregon and the gay rodeo and this drug rehab center in Latall County.
Wait a second. Hold on. Lucy Morningstar's been telling me about this all day. Was that an actual village person? Is that what you're saying that testified at the Karen Reed trial? Is that true?
No, the guy was putting up like a village person YMCA thing is what she's saying.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't be surprised at this point.
When Kane, when you were talking about NASA earlier and how they're doing stuff in the true crime community, like, modifying Delphi murder videos, right?
Yeah.
So the Delphi murder video, the bridge guy, was brought to us by Disney and NASA, strangely enough. So we have weird NASA connections to the Idaho situation, courtesy of Lucifer Morningstar.
Well, Jen,
hello.
Jen, you know, I did a show and you were on it where we looked at the original pictures, the still frames from the video of the car escaping at 4:20 a.m. or whatever. I mean, I literally happened upon it in my 56 terabytes of pics today when I was looking at
I think that's 68 terabytes now, sir. 68.
Well, anyway, somebody said that
you haven't read the updated Meow report.
Full-length movies. And anyway, so I looked at the video of how bright the taillights are, and I'm like, and it looks so freaking fake now to me when you look at those pictures. It's unreal, dude. And it's laughable. It's literally, I mean, they're literally trying to hide the car that they're trying to identify and show us. And it can only be done because it's frame for frame. And there's 24 frames or 30 frames per second in a video.
If they had a video, they should have released it instead of some stock photos. I mean, come on.
Well, that's my point is here. They have that whole entire day where they were all together at the football game. You're telling me between 1122 and the Kibbe Dome that there's not some kind of camera that captured them on camera, and maybe you had the alternate perpetrators following them, maybe same people from the grub truck. Who knows?
That's what I've been saying the entire time. We don't have a third-party objective time frame of activities of who saw these folks last.
Yeah, we don't. Well, there's video out there,
videos,
but they're not even submitting it apparently to the trial unless that just coincidentally didn't get leaked. Why didn't the Corner Club video coincidentally get leaked? Shit that's coming from weird places.
Let me pose a scenario to you of why folks in the community stay quiet and don't report things. Not only did we discuss earlier this onslaught of a siege of the town, as we discussed in a military special operations siege format, the preceding weeks and after weeks of these strange, anomalous, terrifying events that would scare the local population on and above the actual homicides. But if you consider all of those things, right, and I lost where I was going. Where was I going with that? I got lost in the Meow report.
I was going to say 3 hula burgers to get you back on camera again if you're done what you're doing. Tex-Mex, Thunderclap.
I was actually going to ask you for a hula burger break before I went on that tangent. What were you just saying before that? Where did I start off there?
We started with like the sus that certain videos weren't released and then we didn't get a third-party perspective, an actual anonymous or neutral source, like a video.
Schindler's List. Thank you, sir. So, we both keep derailing each other. So then, I appreciate that. Then you reminded me what I was saying. So much like the Orenthal J. Simpson case, where we later find out that all of these neighbors hear in their eye and ear witness statements of these neighbors, about a dozen of them or so, of these murders that allegedly occurred that night between 10:32 and 10:42, back on June 12, 1994. Well, you mean to tell me none of those folks called 911? So the first 911 call allegedly, according to law enforcement, who's going to tell us whether or not law enforcement's lying about the 911 calls? Law enforcement's not going to tell us. They're the ones lying. So, according to that case, the first 911 call comes in at 12:09 with the first police response at 12:17. So you mean to tell me 12 folks heard bloody murder at 10:32 to 10:42 and no one called 911? In fact, when 911 is called, according to law enforcement, it's for a robbery in progress. When they show up, Nicole Brown Simpson's neighbor is holding her dog at the crime scene near her dead body, saying, "What took you folks so long?" And they said, "We're here for a robbery." Right? Well, so what I'm saying is, if other folks called 911, doesn't that sound strangely familiar to the Idaho 4 case?
Well, I want to add something, a little caveat to that, is you have alleged sound complaint coming from 1122 when the cops went in the back door, and you can't even hear the music, even from when they say they're going to go warn them to when they walk up to the house. And so again, you want to tell me that you have this bloody activity, horrific thing happening in that amphitheater of a cul-de-sac, and nobody calls 911? Get out of here.
Right. What about the fact that they rolled deep? They rolled like 4 deep for a noise complaint? Like,
yeah, and
I think that's to enforce them in a threatening manner, wouldn't y'all agree? Like, if they're not getting called there and they're going over there, pain's included in that mix, if I'm not mistaken. Wouldn't that be a manner in which to impose force and threatening?
Right.
Yeah, you got to. Okay, so they come 4 deep for a party. You're talking about the party.
For a noise complaint. Like, why does it take that many cops?
Well, and then you come 1 for an unconscious person that is clearly already been reported way before. You come with 1 officer and send the EMS away. Don't forget that.
Right.
Well, technically it's 1 officer and a defibrillator, sir, but we actually don't know the initial response. I actually found 4 different reports that report 4 different folks responding to that scene, including the initial report was Roger Lanier, captain, now retired, and 4 rookie officers.
Well, the mayor had said that he saw 3 police cars speeding by with their sirens and lights on, and he was like, "What the hell's going on?" That's
for sure.
So,
but we don't know though, right? We don't know who the initial. We don't know the activities of the initial response. We've never seen any body cameras. We don't know the precise officers who were on scene. We know that Officer Smith and Officer Nunez or whatever,
I thought was,
and Gunderson were all on scene before
and
Blaker and Payne got there, right? And Nunez before Blaker and Payne got there, but we don't know who was the first. That's part of the show, Magic Show. We don't know who got there first and what they saw and what they did.
I think
even more. And the ones that initially responded are, I think Gunderson is the one. No, maybe Nunez and Gunderson. I don't know. One of them.
But
we're involved in the whole cover up with Stickergate.
Correct. Yeah.
So
Gunderson
they have a documented history of fabricating and hiding evidence. I mean.
But I don't think we have logs for that day of the response either. And on top of the various media reports and numerous seemingly anomalous statements made in court filings and affidavits about who was on scene first and when they got there. Again, this is left ambiguous for a reason, so they can mold it in their
right. They didn't want to give too much info, so they could build the story as they went along.
Absolutely. That's what we saw in the Orenthal James Simpson case too.
It's the exact same framework. Case. I was young, but
listen, as you two back there chitter chatter and bibber bap right now, you know what pops into my head?
I hope it's orange creamsicles.
Boobs.
I ate that whole
boobs.
Box right away, JJ. I had no mercy on that box. If you notice, though, they were 100 calorie.
Type 2 diabetes, here we come.
No, those were 100 calorie ones, so they were healthy. Listen, it doesn't seem from any of the reports of what we've heard that there was a head officer in charge right away either. Isn't that interesting?
Right.
As if someone off scene was, everybody's holding their breath for their command.
That's precisely what we saw in the Orenthal James Simpson case and the response there, and that is precisely correct, sir. That's a good point.
One of the Banfield cops, I think I told you this before, is involved with Christ Church. Not the driver, the other one. What's his name? Rosendahl?
Chief Fry?
No,
Rosendahl, you're right. I think Nathan Rosenthal, right? Isn't that his name?
Yeah, he's the one that also was on the noise complaint, the one that took a picture of Kaylee's ID.
I think Fry hired him. I think I tracked back his hiring too.
Yeah,
Fry.
let's remember that I played that video where he's using the videographer who is an upper, very closely guarded member of the Christ Church for his campaign video. I was the only channel that ever even talked about it.
Report guy.
Well, I would commend you on your efforts, sir. That's where I learned it here at the Purge. I learned a lot of things here at the Purge. What I'd like to learn right now, sir, is when can I take a hula burger break?
Hula burger break granted. We're going to go into the reel. Again, go ahead and make your kids dinner real quick, Jen, and blow your nose. Whatever you got to do there. And we're gonna come back.
I do have one question for Jen before we take a break.
Sure.
Were you here for the discussion on the book, The Fight Club?
No, I don't believe so.
I don't think so. I didn't think you were. I thought you were here the show before that the other day when we were discussing that. And then the first show you were not with us, so I discussed the author of the book Fight Club and the gruesome murder of his father in Latall County back in 1999.
Oh yeah, you mentioned something on Twitter when we were talking.
Yeah.
Before you go, JJ,
I know you want to talk some of those Fight Club. I know you like Fight Club stuff. I didn't know if you want to talk some of those details here when we get back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, when we come back. But before you go, JJ,
it's JJ, not GJ, sir.
GJ, Hula J. It is the fact that another big point of contention that the mainstream media makes is that there hasn't been any homicides in Lettow County in 7 years. This is the first one where they had to deal with We also know that they lie about the statistics about how things occurred. Look at Hudson Lindau, for example. Look at Timmy Reed, for example, where they fudge the numbers, and this way they get better grants, better support, better sight, better speech.
Yeah, they don't report it as something suspicious, and no autopsy gets ordered because it's up to the coroner. So you have a lot of power in these three people. Really, you got UI Green, you got Fry, and my butt.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree with you all for sure. And if I may add some commentary on that, I don't know who the coroner was in 2000. I'll have to go back to you on that one. But in 2000, at the prosecution of this man, looking at some of these details, I got a lot of questions. The fellow they put in prison on death row, and I don't think they executed him. I got to go back and look at that now too. I got lost in the details of the case. Now I don't know the status of the man they put in prison, but they actually asked Chuck Palahniuk, the author of the book Fight Club, and I would argue a neo-process church member. He lives out there in the Portland, Oregon. Strangely enough, they asked him whether or not Bill Thompson asked him whether or not they should go for the death penalty, and he said let's fry that bastard. So I don't think the
ex-husband... Wait, rewind. Reverse thrusters. What did you... Say that whole thing again.
You hit pause, you rewind, sir.
Please
you can't rewind my lives.
Please be kind.
I know, that's why I said that, because when I try to rewind your show sometimes, like the other day when I kept missing that part in your introduction with the guy talking about Paul Tate, and I'm like, damn it, I can't rewind these damn things.
Drives me nuts. There's not a setting for me to change it. I think... when you use different brand accounts, or if you were inducted into the YouTube cult in a later date, they have different settings for your videos. I don't know what it is, but I can't seem to fix it.
So on that note, I'll get back into that Palahniuk Fight Club stuff. Love to discuss further, but I'd like to take a hula break.
Yeah, let's get Abner a walk, Jen, and you and me and him will come back in about 15, 20 minutes. and I'll start my muse. I'll finish up my muse, and JJ will need 7 minutes, so he can come in then.
Okay.
You know me too well. I'll talk to y'all then.
Thank you, sir, for being here. All right, guys. If you missed the reel today, and if you're new to the Purge, please hit that subscribe button, and don't forget the like is right next to it, just right there. And join us so you get notifications about the show. And also, Operation GCD is with us. Agent JJ Vance is our co-host along with this. We're just here shining under the bright star that is Jenn from Ad Criminal Confidential, who has been very under the weather and extremely busy on top of it for the last couple weeks. So it's a great honor to have her back. And if you missed my little self-indulgent reel of the day here, this is it. If I can make it happen, I will. And here we go. So check it out.
That's what you thinking? I know. Oh, poor baby. Like you haven't had like 10 already today. Oh, such a rough life.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Bad Design. Why would you call your salon Good Head? This is a misleading sign. This isn't the worst name for a reheated product. It's not the best. But this one, we can do better, guys. Also, I have a lot of questions for Uncle Dave. Yeah, I know where it goes. I've been catching flack for viewing things with an American eye. I know that not every language is catered to me, but come on. And finally, I've heard of Knob Creek. Like, sure, haha, a little funny. It's the small batch that gets me. I was once so normal.
Ooh, I'm so excited. About to pick up my first lot lizard in the semi. Oh my god, I'm so excited. Hey, Pretty Mama. What's $20 gonna get me?
These 5 teenagers were accused of throwing stones and sentenced to life imprisonment. This is a stone weighing 6 pounds, 5 inches wide, and 8 inches long. It fell off the overpass and hit the windshield of the car. Kenneth White, 32 years old, is the father of 4 children. The face and chest were hit, and the person died on the spot. The 4 teenagers who appeared in court today are aged between 15 and 17. Their defense lawyer tried to persuade the judge to put them on trial for juvenile delinquency, but the judge clearly disagreed.
The proposal for juvenile sentencing is rejected.
The applause came from the families of the victims. Now, these teenagers are facing life imprisonment.
Here's the full video of the mysterious baggie with powder and the strange spoon with these global leaders.
My bathroom, huh? Literally. We came through Germany.
Yeah.
And then we made it to France.
Bedroom and
then
we got through the border.
Yeah.
Super.
Yeah.
On va bien. Merci.
My friend Bob and I would like to wish everyone Happy Memorial Day. I love Bob's big boy. All right, here we go. Anyway, about this Idaho thing, did any of us realize that at this point in time, it wouldn't be as much about the victims, but did some cute blonde chick run up and down the stairs 50 times? And how many times? That really does bother me about this. But think of my colleagues here on YouTube. You know, I call them the Idaho 4 Detective Agency. they got nothing until August, so they're going to have to shuffle papers and scramble and make use of that hour. But here's what I really want to talk about, which is the Linda Lane audio. I think the Linda Lane audio may be the key piece in all of this, because not only do we have fantastic amateurs going through this audio, but the feds are obviously doing voice recognition. I mean, somebody said, "I see you, Farley," or at least that's what it sounds like. So that's what it is. When the feds come out with, or Ann Taylor comes out with the voice recognition, there we go.
Is that a knife? Oh no, it's just a butter knife. I thought it was an actual knife for a second. So the police department is actually showing up right now.
How does this actually work? So what do? You just throw
So
it there?
we have ropes and we already have our magnets on. Like, you want to try it?
Sure. It's really heavy, and each time I try to get it out, it comes off. Is this the cannon?
It looks like a cannon coming out of the water.
What's the coolest thing you ever came across?
A Civil War cannonball.
Do you think that's a possible murder weapon?
Can you pass me the up dog?
Who?
Not who.
Us.
Chiggers. Okay. You're very cute, but can you pass me the up dog? Up dog? Can you pass me it?
Do you want me to put my hand in your eye?
Information in the Idaho case, the Dylan and Bethany defenders changed what they assume or think happened. First, everybody said, oh, well, they were both on the bottom level. They probably didn't hear anything. Obviously, you've never lived in a college house before. They can't use the college party house thing as an excuse because she was obviously scared from the text thing. Do you know how loud party college houses are? And then once we found out that she was actually upstairs, they said, oh, well, she was probably too drunk. She passed out. She didn't hear anything. Stop using the excuse that everybody was too drunk. Stop, stop, stop. Dylan ain't working with a full deck because then that throws Dylan's credibility right out the window. Then it came out that she saw him. She said she was frozen in shock and gave a perfect description. So she couldn't have been too drunk. Stop using the excuse that everybody was too drunk. There used to be masked men that you would see in the middle of the night wearing all black all the time. You're telling me that you saw a man in a mask? And then they're like, well, why didn't she call the cops? And everyone's like, well, she was too traumatized because she called everybody. And then she calls everybody and the brother and sister. Her body was having a trauma response. She couldn't respond. And you can't use the excuse that she was traumatized because she called everybody.
Car's embedded in the building again.
For the second time in 4 months, a car launching off this street in Excelsior Springs, Missouri, crashing through the roof of a veterans hall. Surveillance video shows the car driving off the cliff, then flipping onto that roof. Debris flying over the building, the impact so violent, the engine was thrown out of the car.
If that engine comes out, I couldn't imagine how a human wouldn't come out of the car if he wasn't wearing a seatbelt.
Incredibly, the driver was able to walk to an ambulance. Authorities say the curve of the road makes it hard to see that cliff on the other side. Back in February, a suspect fleeing police crash landed onto the same roof, injuring 2 teenagers and leading to criminal charges.
Darling, what's your name? Rachel. Oh, goodness. Rachel, darling, your jacket is very furry, your little suit. Yeah, your shirt. How many Muppets had to die so you could have that shirt? There's so many. That's a very specific number. That's just how many she fantasizes about murdering. Rachel, darling, what do you do?
I'm in technology.
You're in technology. Okay, so you just don't want me to know what you do. You don't know what you do. What you do? Technology. Okay, great. Is it just vibrators? Why are you so embarrassed? You're so good at vibrators. Great. Rachel's a weirdo. What kind of technology? Are you not allowed to say? Is it drones?
We're watching.
You're watching everything and murdering Muppets. I think Rachel might be a psychopath.
Like that for a long time. And the casting couch is real, but it's for women and men.
And throughout this interview, he offered horrifying examples of what that looked like. He said one practice called an egg test went as follows. And just for warning, this is insane. But he says, quote, those guys pull their pants down and bent over. They stick the egg up their eggs break. They say they're not ready yet. They ain't put enough work in. This is Hollywood.
Yeah, you try.
You want to try and make
Coco
the sound
knows
go
how
out?
to
She
do it.
noticed the sound came
Yeah,
out there.
yeah.
Now
Yeah.
she's going to see if she can do it.
You got it, Coco.
Can
You
do
got
it?
it amplified there.
That's
Yeah,
good,
can
Coco.
you do it?
Coco.
There you go.
Yeah, good, Coco.
All these matters should be made public, in my humble opinion. I've never seen anything like this in any courtroom that I've appeared in.
You want the truth? It's right here, my friend. Justice ain't fear, it's how we win in the end.
We made it. Barely.
Barely.
But we made it. We made it.
Yo, KB, is that the name you claim? Rolling through genres, let me play this game. Rap like a madman, Eminem with the slang, spitting bars so sharp like a rap hangman. From YouTube fame to Idaho's wild ride, you're breaking it down, putting truths aside. KB got the purge, no doubt he's the king. Breaking down the case like a YouTube machine. KB the purge, bringing heat in the booth. Facts on the table, there's no room for proof. Throwing down lyrics while the world's watching. Is it guilty or free? That's the question we're knocking. KB the purge, taking Idaho by storm. He's got the heat and the truth breaking the norm. We're all glued to this case, no one's letting go. Will Brian be guilty or will he be let go? Kane B's in the game, watch him lay it all bare. Will justice find the truth or just disappear in the air? Here's my bubblegum pop, you ready or not? Kane B's in the mix with the case so hot. Rap, rock, pop, he's switching it up. Dancing through the genres like a YouTube cup. Got Kane B, the purge, putting the story in flow. Breaking it down with humor, watch the case blow. Boom, Kane B's riding with electric groove. Breaking it down, yeah, he's on the move. He's got the purge, so come and watch him reign. Sipping on knowledge like it's truth on a train. Kane B the purge, taking Idaho by storm. He's got the heat and the truth breaking the norm. We're all glued to this case, no one's let go. Will Brian be guilty or will he be let go? Kane B's in the game, watch him lay it all bare. Will justice find the truth or just disappear in the air?
I'm on a mission to be the first woman to skateboard across America.
It's day 25 of skating across America. I've officially done 600 miles.
It's clear, man. Keep going.
I'm bringing the sound, but this case goes KB with the truth is hard to ignore, like waiting for that next chapter in the lore. KB with the truth is hard to ignore, like waiting for that next chapter in the lore.
Yeah, so there it is. There's the reel of the day. Hope you enjoyed it. A lot of work goes into those reels. It's amazing. You always think you're done real quick, and there's like 15 more things to do. What'd you say, Pipple?
That's what you thinking?
Kick, boy,
know.
kick. All right, so I'll get her one of these days. Let's see here. So back to Muse. Let's see what we got for today's Muse. We're almost there on the Muse today. As a matter of fact, 3 left. So this was one I had for JJ. Let me pull that up so you guys can see it. And Twix is releasing all new flavors. And they tried it first, apparently. And so Twix candies releases seem to be getting more and more out of the box. I didn't know this. And of course, the incredibly viral Dubai chocolate, our trip down the candy aisle, is nothing but boring. However, even with all the new unique candies in the market, we're still incredibly excited to see our tried and trues release new products. Snickers brings it with the pecan flavor after 5 years. We're restocking our cupboard. Reese's debuted the peanut butter and jelly flavored cups, and they're trying them immediately. Now, Twix is hitting the scene with its first new flavor in nearly 3 years, folks. After its previous flavor, Twix Cookie Dough, quickly became a fan favorite, the Mars Wrigley brand is leveraging its uniqueness as a candy bar with chocolate caramel and real cookie pieces with that only candy with the cookie crunch to release a new flavor inspired by yet another beloved cookie. Twix Snicker Doodle is officially hitting the shelves. And there it is, folks. You saw it here first on the Purge. Thank you very much. Krispy Kreme's still doing free donuts for you over there for if you got a graduate. I think you can get 3 of them, 3-pack. That's $7.69. In more food news, beep, 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 beep. Little Caesars just launched 3 wild new pizzas. That's right, folks. And here they are. We got this one here, the bruschetta option. Very good. Very nice. There you go. This is the chicken gets fancy. And then you've got the double pepperoni. That's what it looks like when you pick it up. And then, yeah, pretty wild stuff coming out of Little Caesars. But Chick-fil-A is bringing back and this is going somewhere. I promise. This is important to the case. Chick-fil-A is bringing back... my producer, hold on. Heather Fitzgerald again. You can always tell it's her because it'll be 2 right in a row. No, not her. Interesting. Okay, whatever. I think Trish fell asleep on the button. Okay, either that or she peed on it. One of the two. Chick-fil-A is bringing back a fan-loved menu item, and you're just introducing a new one. Alright? So it's bringing back the peach milkshake for those fans of that refreshing drink there. And they've got spring rolls. Alright, that's neither here nor there. Here's the big news. Boom. You're not going to believe this. Chick-fil-A opens first ever all-you-can-eat location. I think me and JJ together could put them out of business in one day. Chick-fil-A fans in Oklahoma are getting getting what the rest of the country can only dream of. Bottomless nuggets, waffle fries, and chicken sandwiches all under one roof. But there's a catch. The fast food chain's only all-you-can-eat location is tucked inside the University of Oklahoma's Couch Restaurant's cafeteria. Students with a valid meal plan and ID can eat there for free. Everyone else pays a flat fee of $14 for breakfast, $16 for lunch or dinner, and $18 for specially themed meals. Well, most Chick-fil-A visits end with a quiet goodbye to your last fry. This setup lets hungry diners go back for seconds and thirds without guilt or extra costs. For students, it's just another perk of campus life. So I wonder if that University of Idaho video, if it's free Chick-fil-A, then I guess a pretty good deal. I don't know. I guess maybe that's why that was in there. Now we know. They're connected. Outside Oklahoma, Chick-fil-A continues to grow, blah, 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 blah. Oh, Whataburger news. Wait, hold on. Wait. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, we gotta hear this.
Months. Locations in Charlotte, Gastonia, and Hickory all have targeted opening dates by late summer.
Gastonia is
a
in South
reminder
Carolina.
that Whataburger should not be confused with North Carolina's burger chain Whataburger in Concord and Kannapolis.
Yeah, don't confuse Whataburger with Whataburger. Anyway, what's this? Best fried chicken in America? I could go down that rabbit hole all day, but... Alright, so let's see what else is happening in the news. It would be called Documents. Here we go. Let's go to that. Yeah, the problem with the fast food is... Okay, so there's basically what you have is the problem with seed oils. So like corn oil, vegetable oils, these type of oils cause inflammation and are very prone for users to get rectal and all these types of cancers. It's been discovered recently. And so what some fast food chains are doing is going back to, I forget what it's called, a different fry oil made from beef. So it's just the same thing you're getting in the burgers, but some of them still have like a bad ingredient. Steak and Shake is the only one that's frying their fries in a beef oil it's called Tort or something like that. Borg. I forgot. Anyway, it is, the problem is Steak and Shake has those crappy shoestring fries, which I've grown to like them over the years. They're not bad, actually. But, it couldn't be McDonald's. McDonald's is never going to switch from their garbage vegetable oil. They're going to continue that. Obviously, right? Our biggest sponsor here on the show. I would never eat there. And I mean, don't eat there. Whatever you do not eat there. Don't let your kids eat there. Unless it's an emergency and you have to eat there, and it's really good then. Okay, let's see here. Well, okay. What's the date today? 29th. That's me. A me day. Finally, documents dropped on my watch. Isn't this amazing? Let's see here. I had the right window up for a second, I think. Oh, I have to do a whole new thing. There we go. Let's start with the bottom. And defendant's notice of compliance. Second one. Motion to seal defendant's amended phase 2.
Hey, I'm here whenever you're
done.
my
God. Jesus. You scared the crap out of me, Jen.
Sorry.
It's alright. I'm just reading some documents here and to the folks. Whole car registration.
Just wanted to tell you.
Did you say meow?
No, I just wanted to tell you. I want to let you know.
To tell me what?
That I'm here. I was listening.
Okay, I'm glad you're welcome in. Glad to have you back. You sound like you've been through it.
Thanks.
No, I mean you sound weak and awful and ugly. No, I'm just kidding. No.
Ew.
No,
Ew.
you sound like you've been through it. Like you literally just said that you did yourself. And I admire your courage to come back on so soon.
Thank you, I think.
So let's see what this first thing is, or the last one actually. It's from Ann Taylor. In the District Court of the 4th Judicial District, case number comes now. Brian C. Koberger by and through his attorneys of record and hereby submits to the court his notice that the defense submitted a log of objections to the state's exhibits to the state on May 13th, 2025 after meeting with them on May 8th, 2025. So that's what? A week later? No, 5 days later? Meaning the defense verbally identified which exhibits would be used for the guilt phase and the penalty phase. The joint log spreadsheet of the state's objections and the defendant's objections to exhibits was submitted by the state in the court on the 14th, pursuant to the court's unredacted, sealed order governing further criminal proceedings and notice of trial setting. That's an interesting one, Jen, right there, isn't it? Pursuant to the court's unredacted, sealed. How is okay, so it's unredacted, but it's sealed. Okay, I get it. So they're sealing the unredacted portion of the defendant's objection. God, I mean, it's like you literally have to learn a whole new language. Jen? Do you have me muted? Where's it? Hello?
Sorry.
That's okay. Did you hear that?
Yeah, I was kind of reading something. I was listening, but I wasn't really listening.
Well, my only point was that they're sealing the unredacted objections to the exhibits that will be used.
Okay.
Right? Isn't it just strange? It's weird.
I mean, I'm used to it. There's nothing new. I'm not surprised.
Definitely nothing new, but it's like they're just taking it to an extreme next level. I mean, what are the objections? Why do they have to seal those? Why does it have to be hidden?
Listen, the way I look at it, if he was guilty, there should be nothing. There's no reason to hide things if someone's guilty. There's no reason to try to keep. There's no reason for all this bullshit, basically.
And the other two are just in support of that. Order sealing exhibits. Order. There's just one. It's called order.
Order in the court.
Motion to seal exhibits. Stipulation to excuse penalty phase witnesses from IRE 615. Order sealing defendant's objection. Order sealing defendant's evidence. Wow. Motion to seal defendant's objection. Motion to seal defendant's evidence. Twice. Wow, that's weird. State supplemental notice of compliance. Yeah, that'll get enforced. Defendant's motion to permit mitigation witnesses to watch trial. Okay. Mitigation. What is mitigation, Jen? You remember?
I don't know.
Let's look it up. I'm sure JJ will have it. He'll pop in any second with it here. I gave him a full 30 minutes, so he earned it. What do you think the topping that you'd put on a hula burger is, Jen? Because the hula burger was actually meant to replace the hamburger on like Good Friday when you're not supposed to eat or whatever it is. You're supposed to only eat fish or not meat.
Yeah.
Lent. And that was something that Ray Kroc suggested for McDonald's there. And so that's where that joke comes from that I'm feeding JJ Hula Burger. I've all along wondered, what would you put mayonnaise on it? I guess it would probably work with mayonnaise.
I don't know, like barbecue sauce maybe. What's on the hula burger exactly?
A hula burger is literally like a canned pineapple slice on a McDonald's hamburger bun.
So yeah, I guess barbecue or barbecue. I don't know.
Barbecue, you're wild.
Or nothing. I don't know. That doesn't sound good to begin with. So I don't know how you can't really make it any worse.
Well, if it's grilled, it tastes like a hamburger, I think is the idea.
I guess.
I mean, you don't just slap it on there out of the can. You gotta cook them up.
Oh, okay. If you say so.
I'm saying so.
I like pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, that's been a common thing, because when I do deliver pizzas, I look at the ingredients sometimes, and there has been a lot of peppers and a lot of pineapples coming out together.
Yeah.
You know, like those peppercini peppers?
Oh, yeah, I like those. I'll eat those things just, like, straight. I like those.
Oh, yeah. I could eat those. You know what I've kind of grown fond of is artichoke hearts also.
I love artichoke hearts. Like, steamed ones, but, like, they have to be made right.
Yeah, I'm not picky. Looks like somebody caught fire in Clearwater. What were we talking? Oh, we were talking about the documents, but yeah. That's just the same bullshit over and over and over, isn't it? Let me look at Moscow. It's weird because I always type in Moscow, but it will never remember Moscow. It'll remember Largo, Florida. 9 days out of the week and twice on Sunday. This was an article that we read a couple shows back, Jen. Originally published May 25th. Troy, Idaho. The streets are usually calm in this town of less than 1,000 people, a dozen miles east of Moscow. With the exception of a historic lumber mill, the city has most part remained quiet. But a couple years ago, things changed when a Christian nationalist church asked the U.S. government to help them establish a congregation within the city. And guess what congregation that would be? And so they asked the DOJ for help, and then they never heard anything back. And so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, the DOJ stepped in and said the town was discriminated against them. But in the town's defense, they said no, they were trying to do something that's against our city code because religions aren't allowed in this certain section of downtown. Yet Christ Church wanted them to bend the rules for them and allow them to. It had nothing to do with them gaining a stronghold. It was just their rules were their rules. Rules is rules.
Rules are rules. You know that in December of 2022, there was a FOIA request on FBI website for Christ Church in Moscow.
Oh, for Christ Church?
Yeah, there was also one for Kaylee on December 15th. There was another one in December for some group called Concerned Citizens of Idaho. And another one for some Idaho militia, something. All in December of 2022. I don't know. I just found
a FOIA request is a fax or
like a records request.
Records
I just don't
request
know, like,
from the FBI.
Right, and I don't know how all that stuff works. I'm not that smart, but maybe someone in chat can tell us, like, how, like, what kind of information? Like, how do you know what's there to make the request to begin with? You know what I'm saying? I just found it was weird. Like, what could they have on Kaylee? I don't know how it works. Like, I don't know what kind of records.
I'm not putting up with your shit today, Jen. Heather. Sorry, I had to time Heather out.
Leave her alone.
For 10 seconds. I'm never going to hear the end of it either. Watch. She's going to sick her dog on me.
Free Heather. Lucy. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how public records requests work. Like, what are you requesting? Like, what would they have?
So this is the FBI doing a public request?
No, it was somebody. Somebody requested...
From the FBI.
Freedom of Information Act, like, right.
How would you know? Yeah, on those specific people. Wow, that is pretty wild now, come to think of it.
Yeah, I mean, it could be another Kaylee Goncalves, but, I mean, just come on. It's a little coincidental. So I don't know how that works. Like, I don't know if you can just, like, request anybody and just see if they happen to have something, or, like, you have to know specifically what you want. I don't know.
Now I'm sus because I timed out Heather.
Leave her alone.
She's going to time me out is a problem. I gave her more power than I have on my own channel. Oh, man.
Is that why she does a #1 thing next to it?
We're trying to figure that out. We figured it's an effort to get the whole social ranking system started in this country because if you're aware, China has a social ranking system. Like if you jaywalk, you lose points. And as you lose points, you can't leave the country, you can't buy a car, you have no credit. Well, Google was the one that implemented and structured that system for China. So it's only a matter of time until they unveil it here. They just want to sneak it in. So I think this is one of their first efforts. I have no idea what any of it means, but let me see. Heather now has 275 experience points, they call it, or whatever. And Rochelle's in second with 250. And ironically, JJ, I don't have any. I've gotten 0 on my own show here.
Why do you see what you have?
I can click. Maybe it's just it says community leaderboard. Like when I click on the crown, maybe you can see it too if you click on the crown. I don't know what a purple crown is for Lucy Morningstar.
Oh yeah, and then Too Fast is number 3. Oh damn, I'm not on here. Good.
Now
I don't want to be on any list. I don't want to be in any kind of list.
Well, the question that I have is, does it transfer from chat to chat now? So can you build up your XP here and go over to, say, Lana's chat or something like that, and all of a sudden you've got 1,000 points and you're a super member over there or something?
Oh wait, there's a question mark. Let's hit the question mark, see what it says. Let's see. Okay. It says, what's the leaderboard? A place for fans to stand out in the community, blah, 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 blah. The top 3 get special badges, blah, blah, blah. It resets every stream, so you can always try again.
How do you get on the leaderboard? You'll need to collect experience points, or XP. Here's how you get them. Send live chat messages, send super chats and super stickers, learn more or turn off in the help center, which I'm not going to...
Oh, I see how many I have. It's on the top right by the 3 little dots. It says I have 75 because I haven't been in chat.
So it resets every time. It's just another lame ass thing that they've added where they're trying to compete, and it's like they go backwards. This is something like from MySpace. You know what I mean?
So if I just do like 100 messages in a row,
yeah, if you go, let me show you here. Let me see if I can.
I'm just gonna do hi, 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 hi.
Hey, quit spamming my chat, you troll. If you go here.
Oh look, I got 150. Now I'm purple, bitch.
Just because you said hi 20 times in a row, I'm gonna have to block you. Yeah. I'm blocking you.
Am I purple now? No, I'm not purple, but it says I have 150.
I wonder. Let's see if you lose your points because you got put in timeout.
Well, oh, you put me in timeout, you cocksucker.
Type something now.
All right, bye.
All right, so JJ's walking Abner trying to get the Starlink cable out of his mouth.
Tish said, "What did you miss? A lot. You missed a lot."
Who asked that?
Oh my gosh.
Chelsea.
Tish Rhino.
I'm gonna take away Chelsea's mod privileges if she doesn't stop acting up. You know, when I was a kid, Rumpelstiltskin was my name because not just the obvious. Also, my name was so weird that even after high school, I tried to change to my middle name, but my family wouldn't let me. Like, I lived in California under the name Alex for 10 years, if you can imagine. Because I thought my name was so weird. But, of course, out in California, everybody's like, it's the coolest name I ever heard. I love that name. You know what I mean? The few people that I told what my real name was.
So who were you hiding from? Tell the truth.
All the bullies. They were the mean people. Typically Unique is back. Come here. Twizzle, lizard, dizzleus. Beckless 3819. You know it's a good chat when Beckless be up in here. Hello, Tish Rhino.
Hi.
Trish Rhino with no H. No H. Yeah, someone's here. More. Oh, more. Hello. Welcome in, darlings. I gotta be more accommodating like Miss Potts is. I wish I could be like Annie Potts. I really do.
Maybe when you grow up.
Someday. That's a long way off. That's a lot of trips to Dollar Tree off from now. I mean, she's a shopper, a paid shopper for the Dollar Tree. Did you know that?
No, why would I know that?
I don't know. I don't know that for a fact either. I'm just conjecturing. Because she does all these shopping trips, shorts, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, look at this lipstick."
Here's a helicopter. They're looking for me.
I thought it was a motorcycle. I thought the motorcycle gang was breaking down your door.
It's 11:13.
Uh-oh. At least it's not 4:08.
At least it's not. Okay, speaking of time, why did they always say the call came in at 11:58 when it was it's like 2 minutes off? Like, that's such an easy thing
Wait, say
How
again.
did
I
you
was
fuck
reading
that up?
something. I wasn't paying attention. Really.
The 911 call, you know, they were telling us, oh, it was 11:58, but it was like 11:56. It's just such a little, like an easy thing. Like, how did you guys fuck that up?
Yeah, there's a lot of typos, and it drives Chelsea Whitaker absolutely out of her mind because she has
Like
to correct
basic
spelling,
things.
she has to correct grammar. So I purposely mistype in her chat a lot of times.
You're an asshole.
Well, we all have our OCD thing, though, right? But anyway, no, yeah, there's so many little anomalies that if you wanted, if Ann Taylor was petty, that she could get. If you want to talk about getting off on a technicality, there would be one of the. Well, if this says this date, that was a year before the crime even happened. You know what I mean? Like you could.
Right. Even the address. I mean, when during the noise complaints, they call in into dispatch or whatever, and they say 1122 Queen Road, but then the unalivings happen, and all of a sudden it's King Road. I'm like.
Did you get all quiet? Did I music enrapture you? Did I hypnotize you?
No, I was being nosy, looking out the window. But yeah,
is
it's
there-
just like
is there a ghetto
minor
bird?
shit.
I haven't had to tune this thing for a while. About time though, I think. Is there a ghetto bird outside?
Who's wearing a thong?
Who's wearing a thong? Thong?
You would think. I mean, with the typos, Michelle. I mean, I don't know how anyone makes typos anymore. An autocorrect, I get it, but like with autocorrect, how does anyone have typos anymore? Like, I don't get it.
Both Miss Potts and Chelsea Whitaker have offered their services.
It literally underlines it in red. How do you miss that on a document? Like, you have one job.
That sounds like you and me. We used to be together. We used to be together, Jen, remember? I don't know how it goes. What's going on in the neighborhood, though? I'm interested now. Give me some updates.
I don't know.
They're chasing a guy? That happened on my live the other day. Talk about ex-girlfriend stories. No, the cops started swarming, and I was this close to doing a pop-up live because it was sunset-y, and, you know, I kind of was at a little lull for deliveries and stuff, so I'm like, I might as well go pop-up live. And just as I decided not to hit go live, 6 cop cars went right by me, and then they started blocking off all the roads, and it was like copters were coming in, and it was this total manhunt situation. Oh, we lost the chat. What's going on here? Let me see. Are you there, Jen? Can you hear me? Can you see me?
I can hear you.
The chat is disconnected as far as I know. I hit something with my guitar, so that might have been
I
it.
don't know. I still
Are we
see
live?
It,
Let me check to see. I have the thing pulled up right here. What am I doing? Here we go. I don't know if are we meow? Are we meow? JJ? Successfully connected. All right, we're back. As far as I know. Let me see. Here. I'm gonna clone JJ too when he comes back. Don't tell him. There. Is that me? Can we show? Okay. Yeah, the alternator cups is something we need to talk about here, for sure. So let's see here. I'm trying to. Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can clone JJ. Here we go. That's how you do it right there. Where is JJ? What? I think we. JJ down. JJ down. That one just won't go in tune yet. Are they still flying over? You live in the remote part of the country, don't you?
No.
So how dare they fly over their house?
Rude. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna go use the bathroom. I gotta pee.
Where are you going?
BRB. I gotta go pee pee. BRB.
That was way too much information. All right, go ahead. 5 minutes.
I mean, you asked.
What is it? D, E, F sharp? G sharp, A? So B doesn't really work, does it? Then you gotta get the B, E, F sharp, G sharp. Wait, this is E. That's the same G sharp and A. I'm gonna break that. So it'd be like D and B. D, F sharp, G sharp, A, B.
Is this the Purge music hour?
It is, dude. We were lost without you.
I'm back.
Hold on, yeah. Doug's got a tablature for me.
What's new in Mr. Wilson's neighborhood?
It's a beautiful day. There's apparently ghetto birds flying over, so Jen had to go pee.
Okay.
I can't get it. I can't get it. I was trying to do a D tune the whole way across.
I heard you mention Whataburger in my absence.
I know. I was thinking it would draw you out of your K-hole that you were in.
Well, I heard also a rumor of you cloning me. Now I see the evidence of said cloning. And
I have a clone trap set and waiting for you to appear, and I'd actually demand at this point that you show your face. It'll be a while before I can really clone you.
Howdy, Jen. My face is right here, sir.
Did you say come and get it?
I said no. I said my face is right here. My camera's working, isn't it?
No, negative, sir. Negative. That would be a big.
Oh, weird.
Negatory. Let me see.
I will
It's
be
probably
right
me.
back.
Oh, you know what? It's probably me.
Probably correct. That's probably correct.
Let me test the waters here. I'm not promising anything, folks. There we go.
Have you ever enjoyed the Dr. Pepper milkshake from Whataburger?
Oh, I did see it just the other day for the first time on a delivery. It's funny that you should ask such a question.
I don't even like Dr. Pepper, but that is an amazing beverage.
How does one make a Dr. Pepper milkshake, I wonder? What is involved there? Because I mean, a milkshake is usually not it's soda involved. There's usually not. I'm just saying.
I'm assuming it's some sort of Dr. Pepper flavoring they just add in a powder format.
Those cheap bastards. I can't believe them.
You all have Whataburger in Florida now? Really? Okay.
We used to have one in Palm Harbor, and they made it out of an old dentist's office. And so it was a very odd drive-through. You know, it was like you get your teeth polished at the first window, get your shake at the second. Now, I liked it because not only did they have extra large, delicious vanilla milkshakes, but they also were only $1.76 for the longest time. I'm sure now it's probably up to the $5 milkshake thing.
Yeah. Have you ever enjoyed the jalapeno biscuit from Whataburger?
I've tasted the biscuit.
So, Jen, I heard y'all talking about Freedom of Information Act requests.
Yeah, we were curious
Yeah,
as to Jen's back. There it is.
Yeah, someone. There's one on Kaylee on December 15th in 2022. I don't know how they work. Like, what do you request? You have to.
How
know
would you
something
know that
exists
the
before you-
FBI
like,
is
specific?
withholding
I
information
don't know how it
about
works.
somebody? Is the question we had, I think. Sorry to Jen.
Well, it may be as simple as this. So, Jen, you mentioned that to me. I did look at it, and I took a. So then it caused me to look at an analysis of all the Freedom of Information Act requests received by the Federal Bureau of Investigations. They publish an annual index of requests.
Yeah, I think that's what I came across. I don't even know how I found it. I just like stumbled upon it somehow.
Yeah, that's what you found for sure. So I looked at the 2023 and 2024 also, just to see what was being requested by folks.
Good idea.
In 2022, yeah, there was a request for Kaylee Gonzalez on December 15th, but there's also a request for Gabby Petito. So it seemed like maybe some true crime related requests that day. And you don't have to know that the FBI would have a file or information on somebody to submit a request. You can just say, a lot of times FOIAs are just send me whatever you got on this subject, right? So in regard to Gabby Petito and Kaylee Gonzalez, I mean, it was public knowledge by December 15th that the FBI was involved in obviously the Petito case, but the Idaho 4 case. That was announced on November 16th.
So would that list only the requests, whether not, or is it the ones that information was actually given? So
No,
you're saying because none of the other victims are on there.
Right, that is odd, right? Now, that's just a request. We don't know the disposition of it from that index, but it is odd that the other victims aren't on there, I agree. So I looked at December 2023 and December 2024, and I believe that it's the same case. Like, there's a request again for Kaylee, but not any of the other victims.
Really? Interesting. There was also one for Christchurch. I think I sent it to you.
Is it possible? And I don't know why I get my best thoughts when I'm eating. Most people shut their brain holes off when they're eating.
Right.
For me, the ideas just come flooding when I'm taking those delicious bites of stew or something like that.
Please describe
with
the
a
stew.
good piece of bread, like a nice Publix roll.
Oh yeah,
you know, with
like
all the
like a
little
nice roll, something
seeds on
something
it and
thick.
stuff. But what happened?
Something thick to soak up the stew. Is that what you're talking about? Something
You got to soak it up. I actually literally roll it into a
French bread.
sandwich. I roll it into a nice beef
Yup.
stew sandwich. I've
Yup.
added squirrel, a little bit of squirrel drop.
No,
Not
you lost me
droppings,
on
but-
squirrel. You lost me on squirrel, but I was up to the squirrel.
you gotta like some venison and squirrel from time to time.
Oh, I've had some venison. I've had some squirrels. Don't get me wrong. You know, I am after all a mountain man hillbilly who bathed in a river growing up, so I'm familiar with these.
How are you
delicacies
with frog
speak
legs?
of.
Are you a fan of the frog legs?
Big fan of the frog legs. Big fan.
Delicious. Those are eatable.
A lot of work. A lot like the snow crab. A lot of work. Or
Yeah,
lobster,
a lot of work for a little result.
Right.
Anyway, is it possible that the FBI did these FOIA requests?
Well, Kane, I know how to spell. First of all,
Is it possible that they did them on themselves? That they did it themselves, just like they flooded their own tip line?
I mean, it's possible. I just assume it's somebody who wanted information on what the FBI's interest was in the matter.
Who?
Because
why?
These
and
cases don't
who
fall
and
within
why?
They don't. That's a good question. They don't fall within the confines of the normal jurisdiction of the FBI. Not even the Petito case. So
Why
when
wouldn't
they do
that
get involved,
be
folks,
something Nancy Grace was on her soapbox? Somebody did a FOIA request on Katie. We need to know answers now. You know, and get up there like nothing half-assed does.
Right, but do you see what I'm saying? When it's not the FBI's normal jurisdiction, that folks who pay attention to these kind of matters do take notice and are like, hey, why is the FBI involved? Let me submit in a FOIA request. So I do think it's odd, as Jen points out, that there's no FOIA request for the other victims.
Well, why the FOIA request was after the atrocity or before?
After.
Interesting. Yeah, because
So
you would think if some reporter is just trying to get general information on people, they would include all 6 of them, actually, in my opinion.
No, I agree. So I think I left us on the Palahniuk Fight Club situation. So
yeah,
Chuck Palahniuk writes the book Fight Club. He lives over there in Portland, Oregon. This is an area that's an epicenter of activity for the neo-process movement, the process church's new generation, if you will. One of their leaders is there. He's the number 2 guy in Michael Aquino's Church of Satan. He's also he invented the industrial rock movement, which has deep connections to the Manson family and all this stuff. And, you know, I argue the smiley face killings are a derivative of this movement. And we see that smiley face symbol of chaos being used not only in the industrial rock movement of Trent Reznor and Boyd Rice, this Church of Satan fellow out of Portland. That's Reznor's mentor.
Well, in connection, it's not the first time we've seen it used in association with murder.
Right, and that's what we see in Fight Club. So we see the use of Chuck Palahniuk. He uses the symbol of the smiley face symbol, which is used from William Burroughs' influence, Scientologist William Burroughs' influence, and beat writer William Burroughs. Beat poet, his influence of this use of the smiley face symbol as a symbol of chaos, right? So he's the reason why Nirvana uses it on their album cover, the smiley face symbol. That's also a derivative of Burroughs. That's an influence. Burroughs and Cobain did an album together right before Burroughs died, I believe in 92, 91. Anyhow, so we see that in Palahniuk. Palahniuk uses the smiley face symbol for Operation Chaos. That's their official logo for what is known as Operation Chaos in the book Fight Club, as depicted in the film Fight Club with Brad Pitt and Ed Norton. We even see them paint the smiley face symbol on the side of a building at one point, and near the end when they're doing the complete chaos and havoc of terrorism on the city that they're doing on this siege of a city, right? They're sieging a city. Tyler Durden. They're sieging a city with this cult network of cells across America, and they're using this chaos symbol or the smiley face symbol as a symbol of chaos within their cult. So I would argue it's that same kind of framework that we see the smiley face killers,
JJ,
come out. Yeah.
It also appears in another movie.
What's that?
Briefly, it makes a cameo in Ferris Bueller's Day Off. No, in the Tom Hanks movie, Forrest Gump. Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So that's a good point. And we also see it in the film The Watchmen, which also is derivative of the same use of William Burroughs' chaos symbol of the smiley face as imposed in the comic book Watchmen, and then the film Watchmen. And relative to murder is the comedian. Well, the comedian is a Project Phoenix assassin from Vietnam. Remember when I was talking about PSYOPs and military special forces? Sure. And Michael Aquino from Vietnam and the Phoenix program, the PSYOPs Satanist guy. Well, the guy that Boyd Rice is the number 2 guy in his Church of Satan today, that guy out there in Portland who knows Palahniuk. And again, this is all, I think, relative to the story here, but the Watchman guy, the comedian, he's an assassin from the Phoenix program. He wears and uses the smiley face as a symbol of his chaos.
Go on.
So we see this use of that, right? And we see Palahniuk. We see his father gets murdered in May of 1999 in Latell County, right? And I just want to read this one quick article one quick blurb from an article regarding that murder. So, like I was saying, I don't know where it stood on the death penalty for this guy. So, in 2000, when they're prosecuting the guy for this murder of Chuck Palahniuk's father and this woman, and I'll get into that in a second, but this guy Dale Shackelford, he just won his appeal.
JJ down. We lost JJ there for a second, guys. What was I gonna say though? Yeah, so you have a whole host of serial unalivings. I've got you on audio. Hold on, JJ. Hold on. They can't hear you right now. They can't hear you. Hold on. One sec. Not yet. Hold on. Give me 1 second to get you up. Sorry about that. I think that I can just hold on. 1 second, guys. Appreciate your patience. Please hit that subscribe button if you're new to the Purge. Please hit that like. It's right there. We had like 50 of them, and there was more people in here than that. So hopefully you don't mind hitting that like button for me. Get the information that JJ and I are sharing with you out there to the public. We know that the other creators certainly are using it. Okay, so let's see here. Not negative. You're going to have to go out and come back in. Oh, there you are. We got you now. You're good. All set. My bad.
So, Palahniuk was a public figure in 99 when his father gets murdered in Latah County, right? Is this the Purge? Okay. So Bill Thompson says to Chuck Palahniuk, should we go for the death penalty? And he says, yes, kill this man. So now I want to read this just before I get into any of the details or take any questions from you or Jen there, sir. Like to point out this one note here from an article back during the trial, and it says, so I've looked at I looked at the appeals. I haven't looked at a lot of the evidence and details, but what I see here is a frame job, right, on this guy.
Previous to the Idaho 4.
Yeah, this was May of 99, right? So this is before Mabut was the coroner, but Thompson's been the DA since I think 92. So
yeah,
this is I think a salient characteristic listed here in this court case based upon my assessment of the appeals and what I've seen here out of Latah County. This makes a lot of sense to me with the statement here. It says, let me find it here. Stand by 1 second. Do you have any? Well, I'm looking for this. Do you have any questions, sir?
You cut out for a second, so I want to make sure I'm on the same page as you. In a previous trial, the DA said Thompson asked the DA what he should do, and he said go for the death penalty. In what case? I'm sorry.
Thompson asked Chuck Palahniuk, should they go for the death penalty for the man they're prosecuting for murdering his father.
Okay.
So, and Palahniuk said, fry the man, So, I just think that's interesting. So, this is also interesting. Though there was little to tie the defendant directly to the crime scene, the prosecution presented a load of circumstantial evidence. So, allegedly, this man's so Palahniuk's father answers a online dating ad, as the story goes, for this woman who recently moved to Idaho from Missouri. And she was married. The man that's prosecuted for this crime is her ex-husband that she was in the process of divorcing, and in the process of a criminal case for prosecution for raping her, for R-ing her young daughter from her previous marriage. This is back in Missouri. So the story goes, this guy sneaks up to Latah County in Idaho and hides out in this lady's house, and Chuck Palahniuk and this new lady he just went on a date with come back to the house, and dude murders her with her own guns, her shotgun and her .38. He hugs them both. So that's the story, right? Again, there's a lot of circumstantial evidence it seems like they presented based upon the court record as well. I got a lot of questions, so I'm going to definitely cover the subject more in the future, but I think it is interesting. We see a lot of this bullshit case around this process figure of Palahniuk, the use of this smiley face symbol, and I said,
I think JJ's having some weather over there. But yeah, you see the smiley face also connected with the Lady Bird Lake series of events that they've had over there. That law enforcement continues to deny are connected in any way or anything other than accidents. All right, JJ.
That's one example. That's one example. We have Riley Strain also I mentioned earlier. That's another example.
I can't hear you, but I see you on the thing.
Oh, you can't hear me.
You've got yourself muted?
No.
Are you muted on your end? This is weird now. All of a sudden it got weird. Why'd you have to make it weird, JJ? I just see Jenn back there. It's weird. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties here. See if we can get JJ to pop back up.
Is this the Purge?
That's it,
baby. Back. Is this the Purge?
You good to go.
So, well, on the smiley face killer note, yeah, the Lady Burger Lake. I mean, there's a litany of these incidents I've been tracking for the last 16 years. Almost 17 years. Holy shit, time flies.
Wow.
Nonetheless, and I've if folks are interested in that subject, I've done no shortage of 40 hours on the subject between my podcast and Operation GCD and the Occult Rejects. Did you lose me again?
That's literally like 3 purges, 40 hours, but okay, that's fine.
No. Well, yeah, we here at the Purge, this is only hour 3. We're just getting started. But
Muted again. I have just done the introductions, and we've only played the real one. So actually, I'm going to shut it down here pretty soon. Try to keep it around 3 hours. We're trying to limit Purge time nowadays. Hopefully, Jenn will come back and say goodnight for us.
Let me close out this note on the smiley face killers. Let me just close out this note real quick on the smiley face killers and the death of Hudson Lindow, who died a smiley face killer style death in May of 2020.
You're right.
Well, he unalived himself in a foot of water and an inch of water.
Which is the way so he's the first instance where a fraternity member of a smiley face killer victim disappears while at a fraternity function. The second instance is Riley Strain. However, Lindow remains the first instance on campus at a fraternity function.
Yeah, that Riley Strain one. It's so weird because that's where the term dry drowning comes from. And I always laugh when I hear dry drowning because you have, when you worked in a restaurant, if you were new to the restaurant business, the cooks would mess you and then say, hey, run out to the shed and grab me some dry water. And the guy would be like, I went out there, I couldn't find any dry water. It's like dry drowning is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. Totally made up media bullshit jargon.
Well, and then we look at these cases further with these accidental dry drownings, as you're explaining. The coroner's reports years after the fact, when families sue jurisdictions and municipalities, we find out that they're lying. That these men have been tortured. There's signs and evidence of homicide, time after time.
I knew I was going to get into it with Lucy Morningstar about dry drownings. Think what you want about it. I call it bullshit. You need water to drown. And that's the literal definition of drowning, in my opinion. But, dry drowning, you're not familiar with that term? Sure, yeah. You're supposed to believe that shit, and it's like it's
Typically.
just like that's gonna happen in the trial. It's like just like that. What do you got? Who's your expert? What's his name? Potato Head Larry over there.
Witness Protection Larry.
Yes, sir. He's an expert in dry drowning, and
I bet he is.
Anyway, Jenn, what do you got to say there, man?
What are your all's thoughts on the death of Hudson Lindow as far as it being a smiley face killing victim type of deal?
I don't really know that much about that whole situation. I know he drowned allegedly, and I know he was in Tau Delta, I think. But I don't know much. I don't know enough to have an opinion.
Fair enough.
I do think it's shady, for sure, and I think that it's just another example of deaths being ruled as accidental or self-inflicted, et cetera, on purpose, like purposely not being ruled suspicious, so this way it doesn't affect their precious image.
Yeah, if it hadn't been for the press coverage that they had on the Idaho 4, this might have gone as something else, as opposed to a homicide. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised one bit.
That's a good point. And back to the one more note on this Pallynook situation. So Bill Thompson found it important enough to take the jury out there to the scene of that murder scene. Relative to this case.
That's interesting. What's good for the goose isn't always good for old Santa Claus. That's some great research, JJ. Thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. I'll probably do a deeper dive in some Idaho 4 politics here on that subject in the future because I'm very interested in this case now and after the appeals I've read.
Yeah, the appeals thing. That's anyway. We'll get into that on the next purge. Let's do one. Do you want to do one on the weekend or Monday, or what's a good day for you, JJ?
I can probably squeeze one in this weekend. I don't have much going on, but yeah, if we can do a regular Monday one, I'm down for that for sure.
Okay, one way or the other, we'll get one in here. I need time to get my reels together and all that business. So I appreciate everybody being here. Say good night, Jen.
Good night, Jen.
Take it easy, everybody. Have a great night.
Again, Jen. Glad you could join us for the purge.
Yeah, appreciate you being back. I can't wait to talk to you some more.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate the purge, Kane, and fellow purgers. Appreciate your time and purging.
Always a pleasure, guys.